Good evening. It's not the longest running episodic, whatever it is. It's something, but it's live on a Monday. It's a thing that happened.
It's May the 4th. Be with you.
Ah, yes, that's true. Is it with us, Eric? Is it also with you?
First movie I was ever taken to, 1977, Star Wars.
I had R2 on today just to acknowledge the day.
Amazing. Sensational. Well, I feel better already. It's pretty good.
And
So it is so I have labeled it correctly. It is the Spring Expo recap.
for Eric.
He's got Eric's favorite.
For Eric.
Goldenrod.
For Eric.
For Eric.
Goldenrod.
That's what I'm saying. Josh here. It's Monday night. You know what that means because I'm Carlos. Podcast is live. Post-Expo edition. That's right, Josh. That's right. And I did get a chance to chat with Josh. And no matter what Eric says, Josh is a gentleman and a scholar.
No, he isn't. He's one of the worst human beings I've ever had the displeasure of getting to meet.
Given that you're one of the worst human beings on the planet, that means he's a great person. That means he's like a saint.
Compared to me, he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But I just don't want anyone, you can't compare him to me.
I
I
see.
just don't want, people who meet him in the street or something, I don't want him to think that he's a good guy because he's not.
Wow. And this is a valid retort here. Eric, did you enjoy the expo this year? Oh, right.
I wasn't hanging out with you. I had a hell of a time.
No, you didn't, Eric. You were having the FOMOs. You know, the FOMOs, as the kids would say. You're sitting there like, the hockeys, and they're not letting me near. And Marcel's there, and I'm not there to harass him. What's Marcel going to do without me?
Maybe that's why I'm a little grumpy tonight. I still got the FOMOs. So I'll apologize. I'll apologize to Josh. Josh, I'm sorry that I attacked you so violently this early on in the show. I do wish you a glorious shut up, Josh. But I'm sorry I attacked you so violently. I still have the FOMOs.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Well, since it is the Expo recap, I will touch on a couple of things. There were a couple of themes that came up, and then also something that wasn't included in my pickup video, Brandon. I did do a pickup video with the rest of my pickups, but there was something that was not included in that video because I figured I would save it for the podcast because there is an attached story because it is related to someone else named Josh, not that Josh, a different Josh. One that Eric also knows.
A different Josh, not shut up, Josh. Okay.
No, not shut up, Josh. A different one.
Is
That you are also
chosen, Josh?
No, if it was the Chosen Rosen, Brandon, if it was the Chosen Rosen, we'd have a video tribute. There would be a whole thing, a whole segment. As it is, there's still a story attached to it, but we'll get into that. So live or not, we'll cover and talk with the chat and the comments and everything else. I'll recap some of the stuff that happened during the show. And obviously there was a lot of different things. Even for the content gods, there was things. This was a different show than normal because lots of videos came out of the channel, all things considered, within a truncated period of time. A couple of stories related to that. So that and more in this episode of the BIC podcast. Yes, under the watchful eyes of Brett Favre. You know, it's serious because number one, I have started using the new overlay, so I didn't get a chance to update the new overlay. So I'm working on the fly. I was telling Brandon, actually, he sent me a message. I actually didn't realize what time it was. So today I've been kind of trying to get, there's discombobulated. I'm trying to get recombobulated, and it's taking me a little bit of time. Eric, it's so bad that I lost such track of time. Number one, I didn't realize what time it was when Brandon messaged. Number two, I haven't even made dinner. So, Eric, during the course of this broadcast, dinner is going to head to my front door. There's going to be a knock on that front door, and I'm going to grab that dinner, and I'm going to eat it because I'm starving.
Yeah, I as you guys know, I was out power washing the deck, and I kind of lost track of time. And
that was deck with an E, just to make sure everybody heard clearly.
Now, listen, what Eric does, he power washes while he's watching Manual in Space, is a different issue.
So I was out power washing the deck. And
power washing is a euphemism for it, sure.
Siding of the house, and I was like, "Holy crap! Look what time it is!" And rushed in, took like a 3-minute shower to get all the filthy water off me. Wolfed down a couple of cold slices of pizza, and here I am.
No chocolate stick. Who are you? We don't even know you anymore.
You put a jacket on after taking a shower?
It's not a jacket; it's a sweatshirt. What?
It has a zipper, Eric. That's a jacket.
It's a sweatshirt. And even it's a mountain biking sweatshirt.
It's called a hoodie, man. I'm literally wearing one right now. It's called a hoodie. It's got a hood.
What's the problem? Why are you always so critical? Now I look like some kind
You
of
read my
elf.
mind, Josh. You read my mind. See, Josh and I are on the same page here. He knows.
I don't like this hood. That's a little too pointy. I'm not digging this at all.
Oh, that's a good look for you.
No,
That's a tremendous look. Right there. That's the best you've ever looked.
No, we're not gonna ever wear this hood out.
We apologize. We apologize. And also a pleasure.
We're only 6 minutes in.
And also a pleasure chatting with you this Expo, as always. We even met up at the booth of the Burrell. We had a chance to chat. It was good.
I think you'll love.
Good evening, Jeff. So yes, so we'll touch on a couple of different things, a couple of stories related to Expo. I did touch on obviously a little bit of it with the pickups, but let me start off with one of them. So I did get a chance to, it was very brief because I only got a chance to chat once and then one other time, because as far as I could tell, like Josh Adams, if you're familiar, 90s auctions, that individual,
Yes.
comes on and joins us on the live sometimes as well, in the chat and everything. I don't know. During parts of the show though, Eric, as far as I could tell, he went into a vortex and disappeared. For stretches at a time. It was very weird. Very strange. Yeah. So I only came across him a handful of times, but I did have a chance to have a nice, pleasant conversation. And I shared a selfie with Dan because Dan was asking for one. So I gave him. So we took a picture and we included and sent it over to Dan. So Dan's covered on that regard. Look forward to hearing the attendance float this weekend. Absolutely. We'll talk about it. But in our brief conversation, we were able to have a quick exchange some pleasantries, and we were going to grab a pint on the Saturday. But unfortunately, the day ran a bit long and he was a bit run down. However, he did message me, and you'll appreciate this, Eric. So he messaged me, he said he was coming by, and we were actually staying at the same hotel. So that's why we were going to, for convenience, it would have worked out pretty good. And the Saturday is actually 10 to 6. I like the Saturday, by the way. The reason being that it is 10 to 6, which means you can actually go to dinner earlier, which means if everybody's a little run down, a little tired, it is easier to get back to the hotel at a more reasonable time. If you do want to have a nightcap, then it's a little bit easier. If you're already staying at the place, you can just go down, grab a pint, and you're all good to go.
Right.
So anyway, so he messages me and he says, hey, we're downstairs, and hey, we got something for you, because he was not alone. There was another individual. Again, I'm going to leave most of the names out of this, but I do want to thank them. Another individual who Amanda is also familiar with. So they actually had something for me, said that they had a surprise for you. And my first question was, and again, this is where you'd appreciate it, Eric. My first question was, is it ticking? I have to take precautions, Brandon. You never know these things.
Yes.
But ticking may not be bad.
It can be in some cases. It can be very problematic.
You are a watch collector, and you've made
that
that known on the channel, so
that is true.
Ticking could be good.
I don't think that was the first thing that I was going to be thinking about. There are other ticking things that maybe you should be a little more concerned about. So, I needed to make sure I got that out there and asked this question. Very important question. But it was not a ticking item. However, it was a very nice thing, and I've got it here. I'll share it with you.
Ooh.
Wow. That is quite a gift.
Didn't Eric say that you wouldn't be able to get any Medano signed stuff because he wasn't going to?
Because Eric, once again, is full of crap and knows nothing.
And Madonna wasn't there, so
he wasn't.
Looked like he was.
So I will. So Eric, I have heard the knock. I'm going to grab some food, but when I come back, I'm going to explain how said item came because I received the story on it. But the point is, I was gifted a Minnesota North Stars Mike Modano autographed jersey.
That is awesome.
We appreciate the tributes. Back in 1 second, but then I will explain the how and the why. While I do that, if any of you gentlemen would like to recant anything that have either one of you had any pickups or anything, usually we have the segment on there. Is there any pickups that you've received on your end that you would like to share while I quickly grab my item?
Brandon, I have some things. Well, how about you? Do you have some things?
My pickups are 547,848 items away.
You're practically there.
I'm close.
Yeah,
I'm close.
It's imminent. All right, Eric. So, you go for it.
So, one of the things that I like to try to do is collect every hockey set. From the beginning of time to 1989 of Bruins team sets. So I just completed one. 3 cards came in today and it helped me complete the set. So this is my 63, 64. I got there's 2. These are both rookies. I don't know if you can see, but these are rookies. Very, very good condition. And that now completes the Bruins team set, which include a Milt Schmidt, who I think is the greatest Bruin of all time, coaching card, and now I have the entire Bruins team set for that year. So, I'm very excited about that, and I can now move on to the next set, which will probably be this set because I'm close to finishing it. Just picked up this is the 62-63, and just picked up the John Busick copy, and it is again in very, very good condition. Centering, up, down, left, right, corners are good. Everything about this thing is really, really nice. Back is clean. It wasn't in a book and glued down or anything. So very, very nice. And I think that will probably be the next one that I finish.
So is that a 12 on the eye appeal grade?
Well, because I'm a Spinal Tap fan, I go to 11.
11. Okay. Okay.
So I would say that's an 11. But yeah,
I have to give you credit for one thing, and this is something with not just yourself, but folks who are, their favorite team has a very long history.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like you can see that there's a lot more depth to be able to collect when your team has longevity to their existence. And my situation, unless I piggybacked it off of other, moves and all that stuff, the 3 main teams I collect, the Nationals, the Ravens, and the Stars, they all have kind of short-lived histories, and so they only go so far back.
Well, the Stars can go back quite a ways if you follow the team all the way back.
Well, I mean, the Nationals could go back to the Senators. The Ravens could go back to, whichever direction you want to go, the Browns history or the Baltimore Colts history.
I would go the Baltimore Colts
back,
would be kind of the one I'd be thinking there.
Yeah, but I'm talking like their existence of where they are and the team they are, Like the Boston Bruins are the Boston Bruins.
Right. And
I suspect Goldauer is cheating on the Montreals. It's subtle, but the signs are there.
Listen, I will never cheer on the Habs. I hate them with every single thing I have. I will hate them till my last breath. But they're in the second round, and the Bruins are on the golf course. I predicted that the Bruins would lose. I picked them in our poll because I had to, but I said I picked the Bruins, but they're not going to win. I've told everybody that they were going to get their asses handed to them, and they did. So they suck, and they need to do a lot to fix that team. So you're not going to get any defense from me. You can bash the Bruins all you want. I'll jump right in with you. They suck.
Indeed. So Dan's making a good point too. The Nationals were the Expos. So yeah, no Expos erasure. For Yannick's sake, we make sure to acknowledge the Expos.
My point was like the team in their current existence.
Yes. So
I could flow through history. Like, Eric's talked about the Golden Seals and how that was an origination of the Dallas Stars. Like, if you wanted to go that route, I'm talking a team that is like the New York Yankees, the Boston Red Sox, the Boston Bruins, like a team that is the Dallas Cowboys, like in that existence for a long period. All the teams I have, they have broken existences. They've been other places or whatever.
Sure.
So that was my point. Like,
yeah. No, I get you. By the way, actually, quick aside point. I was actually making this point with somebody when I was chatting with them during the show, and again, I'll kind of fill in some stories with the show as we go. I was laughing, but how would you like though to be like an A's fan? Because they've got a weird existence. Like if you actually go to the history, if you go through the history of the A's, they started Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Philadelphia. So that was the OG. So if we're talking the Athletics, that's the Connie Mack Athletics. That was the kind of that era going through into the 50s. And then they went and stopped in Kansas City briefly. Like you can follow that. There are some of their cards in the mid 50-ish, era. 56 Tops has the Kansas City A's, so they've got some on there. And then they moved, and then they end up in Oakland. And then when they end up in Oakland, they have a long run in Oakland. Obviously, they have some success. They win World Series. And, there's in the 70s, it was the 3 straight World Championships, and then they did have the championship during the Jose Canseco, Mark McGwire, that era. But they continued. But now they're kind of the Sacramento A's / maybe Vegas, maybe not / who knows? They might be playing in Eric's backyard for all we know. A's. They are what they are.
Yeah. It's too bad that a franchise that's been around for so long, has won championships, have had countless Hall of Famers and baseball legends play for them, are at such a fork in the road of, okay, now what? It's just you hate to see that with the sports franchise, and I hate baseball, obviously we know that, but still it's a legendary sports franchise that's in just disarray, and that's too bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they literally made a movie about the franchise with starring Brad Pitt, right? I mean, it's sad to see that it's such a mess.
Kind of playing into your point, though, Brandon. I would be fascinated, though. But like, obviously, for the Oakland folks, they're going to feel betrayed, as the Philadelphia folks were betrayed generation before, because the Oakland folk, when they went to Kansas City, they did Philadelphia. They were the other Philadelphia team, but they had success. It wasn't like they were just some random team. They had a long tenure in Philadelphia before they went to Kansas City. The Kansas City thing was very brief, but then they ended up in Oakland. And then the time they've been in Oakland, they ended up in Oakland for decades and decades and multiple generations of teams. So now that team that fan base became attached to them, separate from the original OG fan base. But then now they moved again. So it'd be like if the Dodgers, who have had their start in Brooklyn and then moved over to LA, if they just randomly moved to another place, it'd be like, wait, so now you got like this other fan base that's like, wait a minute, you did just too? What? Yes, they were. But that's kind of a so Dan, though, if we're hold on, but for the first time in this episode, so I'm gonna wait until he starts moving back with this way. For the first time in this episode, I will say, though, to be fair.
To be fair.
Indeed. Most of the Phillies history is basically them being garbage most of the time. They didn't win a World Series until 1980, and the Philadelphia Phillies were running a long time before that. They kind of sucked. So 20 years of garbage is actually in Philadelphia baseball sports. It's not that bad. They've had worse.
I have to really admit, as a Nationals fan and a Bryce Harper hater, the Phillies run has been beautiful.
There you go. There you go. I like that. I came for the diaphragm. Well done. There you go. Appreciate it, Josh. So yeah. So first of all, thank you. I will fill in names. I've given appreciation to the appropriate individuals, but a signed Medano jersey is very nice. From what I can tell, I got to take a little bit of a closer look. I got to be honest, Eric. I think it's an authentic because it's got the numbering on it. It's got the numbering on it. I haven't unfurled it yet. I got to take a look and see. It might have the fight strap and all that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about it, but I was going to wait until maybe offline because I didn't want to, poo-poo it if it was.
It looks nice.
One of the Chinese models. I mean, the jerseys,
got the fight strap
is a Chinese knockoff. It's not real, all right. But the other jersey on the
it's got the numbering on the tag, so it's a 54 instead of being a large, medium, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
the white one's real. That's a game issued. That was the Bruins charity auction, so that's an actual jersey. But the Lemlin one is a Chinese knockoff that someone got a pile.
Are you
of
saying Reggie is a knockoff?
Well, yeah, he was an AI. He was an AI made player, like one of those creative players. Never actually existed.
The Cheevers autograph jersey hanging up over there is also a Chinese knockoff.
Yeah. And here's the thing, though. I have a Soto that I bought from a Fanatics thing, and I got a great price on it. And it's the autograph, but the jersey is like one of those kind of, cheap knockoff jerseys. And the thing is, if you just want an autograph, Brandon, no shame in the game. Who cares?
Yep.
Like now, if you happen to have it on an authentic or one of those, it's nice, a nice bonus because then it's a nice jersey to go along with it. But if you're just hanging it up to framing where you're basically putting the number in the frame, then you don't really care. Then it's not as big a deal. But it's a nice to have. It's like, but it's very thoughtful. Obviously, you know, they knew I collected Medano and they incorporated that. So apparently my understanding is it was the signing that this came from was actually when he was in his last year in Detroit.
Mm.
So it's got some provenance. So this has actually been in, you know, in the collection for years, and it was gifted to me. So that was very nice. Very
That's
nice.
pretty sweet.
This is a knockoff also.
Gordie Howe's real, Eric. He's not a knockoff. What are you saying?
No, the jersey's a knockoff. Stop it.
Listen, Eric, I know Gordie's real, despite your claims. See?
I know.
Go guys.
I actually watched your pickup video. I'm quite jealous. That's very, very nice. Congratulations.
Well, it isn't a KSA holder, so you have plenty to be jealous about.
Well, yeah. But good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I figured I would. So I gave myself. So I'll touch on now kind of the thematic thing that I was talking about, and I'll sprinkle in other stories as we go. My plan, my thought process going into this expo was, of course, I'm going to be looking for Medano cards. That's always going to be the priority. That's always the main thing I'm looking for. And there's lots of nice ones out on tables. But I've got just now, literally as we speak, Brandon, I'm 11 shy of 2,900 different. That's a lot of Medanos. That's a lot of, it covers a lot of ground, a lot of years.
Slacking.
Yeah, I know. And so 2,900, it's a lot of Medanos, a lot of years, a lot of brands, all kinds of stuff. So almost anything that exists that he's had, I've got some kind of an example of, including a shield card. So I've got all that. So after a while, it's like, okay, there's very little that I haven't seen or looked for. Some of the stuff that I showed in the first video came from Ship My Cards because I had bought it on eBay. So the gold be a player autograph. That's a serial number to 50. That's a tough one that I've been looking for since the 90s. So that's a great one. The SPX Finite, that was a beautiful card. I put that on my Instagram because the card presents incredible if you put the light on it. The shine on it is fantastic. And it is the one that I was missing. I closed off the that section of the binder. I did put it in the Z folio with the other ones. So actually I'll take a picture later with the group of them. So that was awesome. So I've got plenty of those. So then the question is, all right, if I don't see anything that wows me, anything that blows me away, what do I look for? So I gave myself on my phone, I took some of those because the early 60s Parker set, there's some very nice sets. And I like the fact that the checklists are smaller. So I've already kind of stated that the 53 Topps baseball, I love the set, but the set is pretty large still at this point. I'm missing some key cards and it's going to cost a lot for me. I'd have to commit a lot to get those singles that I'm missing. But these early 60s sets, like you can get them really cheap. Like, so that Gordie Howe card, I did poke it a little dig at the whole eye appeal thing because the card actually presents very nicely. It's a 2.5, but it's a very nice looking card.
It's really nice.
Yeah, and the centering on it is nice. The color on it is nice. All the eye appeal stuff, Brandon. The eye appeal. So I did a little game, though. I was chatting with Mike Canadian Cards and Stephen with the PH, so I got a chance to chat with those guys a couple of times, and it was very nice chatting with them. I chatted with them a little bit more on Saturday. I picked up those 61, 62 Parkers I picked up on Saturday. It was the last day that I was going to be there. Sunday, I was going to take it easy, check out at normal time, and head back. So I'm still discombobulated, but I would have been more so if I had stuck around a couple hours on Sunday. I came back earlier just so I could get myself situated. So anyway, I get those cards on the Sunday. I grab them. They're very nice cards from the same dealer. Cool. I get cards that I'm looking for. So I wanted to play a little game with Mike. I said to him, hey, so I showed him the cards. I had taken already the price stickers off. And I showed him the Gordie and a couple of the cards. And I said, hey, so what do you think? What do you think, what would you price for this for? What do you think it should go for? The question is a pricing question because Mike, in addition to being a collector, he's collected these sets and he's put together some of these sets. He's also dealing at the show. So he's got some vintage on his table and, he's a good eye and a good concept for it.
Right.
So he came up with the price and Stephen with the PH came up with the price and they were both comfortably more than double what the actual sticker was on it.
That's awesome.
Which is basically the idea. It was $100 on the sticker. So that's Gordie Howe, where if you put him in the Pantheon, so now you compare him to like his baseball comp, his comparable, and that's 100 Canadian. So that's like $5 US.
Yeah.
It's basically free. They basically paid me to take it, Brandon.
I would have bought
like
it.
A gallon of gas.
Yeah.
I would have. I definitely would have bought it.
Yeah. And then I got it with a couple stack of some other players as well. I had Gordie, but this one was a little bit nicer than the other one. And again, it's presents well. And the thing is, for all the flack I give the KSA, brand and everything, the thing is the holder itself is sturdy. Like that holder is actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
I didn't want to admit it. I think I did after the last Expo, but if I was a resident of the Canadius, I think KSA would be a decent option because I didn't think they looked bad.
No.
Oh, hush, Eric. It ain't your. It's not your decision.
You're wrong.
Go around with upside down one touches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's a different issue entirely. There is a point though that I want to make though, Brandon, that plays into that. So there was a point to this. The point is this: if you're not paying extra for it, who cares? Then it's just then it's literally just a holder. Because for me, I'm looking again when I looked at the price tag, I'm like, okay, well the price tag is fair. Then I look at the card. Then I say to myself, is the price fair for the card that is there? The holder is not in part of the discussion. I can put my finger over the damn label. Who cares? I want to know what is underneath, what's in the holder itself. And then the holder itself is not offensive. The card looks fine in the holder.
It wouldn't be my first choice. I said if I was in the Canadians where there's limited options, let's not forget that. It's not bad. They're not terrible, especially seeing as much of them that are there at the Expo. They're not bad. They're tolerable. They present well. So
you're a liar.
I'm not lying. I thought they were okay.
You're a big liar.
Eric, listen, Eric is trying to down talk, but I happen to know for a fact one of his Bobby Orrs is in a KSA holder.
They're not much different than an SGC slab with a PSA label. There's not much difference.
Yeah, I think the key is you have to take into account that look at the holder itself. If the holder doesn't detract from it, and I don't think these do. I was like I said, for most part, all they did was take the black insert and they combined it with a gradient label.
Yeah.
So as long as obviously it's super bright because I got the light right there. But if you just look at the card, basically, this is what you do. And then you ask yourself if the price point is fine, and if you're happy with the price point, you're good to go. That's basically all you need to figure out. Otherwise, if he had put it on one touch and with the price, it probably would have been fine, to be honest. I'm not really worried about that, but I'm also not in a hurry to crack it out because the damn holder is actually pretty sturdy. So just leave it in there. It's got a label on it, whatever. It serves a purpose. I understand. But it's okay. If it makes you feel any better, Eric is disoriented in every day that ends in Y.
It's true.
Good evening, Baz. So yeah, so that was it was kind of a fun game. I wanted to play it with a couple of folks just to see. So that goes back to what we were talking about. The whole idea is if the eye appeal thing is supposed to matter so much, Brenna, then the point is, well, look at the card then and decide, is the price fair based on the card that you seem to have there? And then the holder becomes secondary. I'm not paying any premium for that holder. I'm just not going to. But yeah, it also doesn't detract.
While we're on this subject, and I know there was quite a bit of comments and discussion from the last video. I didn't reply back to the reply to my comment with Blue Odom, but I did want to acknowledge his reply to my comment saying that when I mentioned the MC and the OC and all that, as PSA already having those in, my point to that was his example in his original comment was saying, if the card would be an 8 without the pinhole, with the pinhole, you drop it to a 4 or whatever. That's kind of the same scenario as what was happening with the MCs and the marks and the MKs, the OCs and all that. They would grade the card with a qualifier. So say an 8 and then put the qualifier, but then the hobby itself, the conglomerate had to decide, all right, how many grade levels lower was the MK or whatever. So that was the reason that I mentioned that, because we've had those qualifier things in there. They could easily do a PSA 8 pinhole, PH, be the same scenario. But then, the people have to decide, all right, how much lower does that degrade the card? That never really worked out that great because it was still this, debate of how many grades lower should the value be. And also, when you have a qualifier of a mark, where is the mark? If you have the qualifier of the OC and it's somebody that wants a center card, it's not as enticing to them. So that was my point of that. They tried the qualifier thing, and I just don't think a lot of people liked that. And so when he made the example of, well, with a pinhole, it would be an 8, but you drop it to a 4 or whatever, I just kind of looked at it as a similar situation as the qualifier grades that they do. So,
So let's touch on that for a second, because I think it's a fair point to make. And that is this. I understood what he was getting at with his response, but the thing is, why stop at 4? Why not make it 5? Why not make it 6? Why not make it 3? Then you're randomly just coming up. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Again, it's subjective. You're literally making it up. To me, a pinhole doesn't change anything from the perspective of part of the card's missing. If instead of a pinhole, you would use the hole punch, like if you're familiar with the hole punch, like the hole puncher, it's a bigger hole. But what's the difference? It's a bigger hole.
I can't remember the name now. I had a card that Paul always wanted, because many might not realize this, but the old like Gaudi cards, they had the little circle in the on the card itself. When they were redeemed for something, I can't remember the exact story right now, but back in the day, they would actually punch those when they were turned back in or whatever. And that's the same thing. That's why some of the cards have hole punches in them.
Yeah, well, that's why I made it. That's why in multiple conversations, including the ones I had with Dan and also other times that I've talked about this, I'm making a distinction. So the reason I was teasing about the whole thing, I literally teased about the whole eye appeal thing. I bought that Gordy card out of the stack because I thought it looked good. I thought the card looked good, and I thought the price. So there's two different parts. There is the grade that I would assign to the card. So that's me looking at the card and looking, all right, there's a crease here, there's this here, there's that there. Me adding all those things up and me determining what I think the appropriate grade is. I didn't even grade the card when I was looking at it, Brendan. I wasn't determining if KSA got it right or not because it didn't matter. What I was doing is I was saying, based on the card that I'm looking at here, the price tag that he put on it was fair. I still negotiated with a little bit because I grabbed a stack of 4 cards. So I said, in the aggregate, what do you want to do for the stack of these? We were able to knock a couple of bucks off, so I'm happy. So I'm getting a couple of bucks off each card, all good. The point is, eye appeal only matters in terms of how much do you feel comfortable paying. If you think the card is really nice looking and all that, then pay more if you feel it's appropriate. But the actual technical grade is what it is. It's one of those things where if the pinhole is okay, well, then is the hole punch okay? Oh, well, no, the hole punch is bigger. It's like, well, okay, so what diameter hole is fine? So you see how it gets really dumb really fast? Or what if there's no pinhole area? But what if you chop off the very slightest bit of the corner? The rest of the card is perfectly fine. But the corner's chopped off. It was a part of the card's missing.
Yeah. And if the card is absolutely perfect every other way and the color and everything's just absolutely gorgeous, it's still missing part of the corner. So you can't get a high grade because it's missing the corner.
So that's why I say for me, and this is my take on it, because this is my interpretation based on even back in the day. What I want to do, Eric, at some point is I actually want to see if I can go find. He's got it with the authentic.
That's nice.
Yeah,
with the corners chopped off. Yep.
Yeah, but my corners are clipped, but you're not finding a better centered color.
Right. And that shouldn't be an 8 because everything else is awesome. So
this is this is a $5,000 card because the eye appeal is good.
Well, Brandon, you've got 8 corners where the standard one only has 4.
If I round it, then it would just be like a Pokemon card.
Oh, even better.
And then we got the color and the centering and everything.
It's pretty popular right now. You might want to think about it.
Yeah. So the thing is, when it comes to that piece, it comes down at this point, you are getting into semantics. For me, whether you're talking a pinhole, whether you're talking about a hole punch, or whether you're talking about the corner being chopped off, you're literally talking about paper loss. You have effectively, part of the card's gone. It's gone. It's paper loss. So my shorthand, Eric, and maybe one thing we could do, because obviously part of that argument was, well, that was, subjective, PSA made that up. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure if there was a hole in the card, we considered that before PSA showed up. Like, what did you think the grade was? Because PSA is 1991. So in 1990, if a card has a hole in it, what did you think the grade was?
If you can see it and it's not acetate, there's a problem.
Yeah. So do you understand what I'm saying, Eric? Like, it's like suddenly magic. It's like, again, I know we want to blame PSA for all the ills of the hobby, but I don't think they came up with the idea that if a card has a hole in it, it should be right at the bottom of the grading scale.
Yeah. No, it's got a hole in it.
So that's for me. That's a shorthand for me. If part of the card is missing, I cannot assign you a high grade. You're right at the bottom of the grading scale. Everything else could be beautiful. That means the card might still be desirable. I might still be very interested in it if the rest of the card is looking good. And as a result, I might be willing to take money out of my pocket and pay for it. But that doesn't mean it's a high condition card.
If I go to the store and buy a brand new bucket and it's absolutely perfect in every way.
How fancy is this bucket, Eric? How bougie is this bucket? I'll be right back.
I go home and I drill a hole in the bottom of it and then put water in it and walk across the kitchen floor. Is it still a perfect bucket? No, it's a bucket with a hole in it. It's useless.
Did you buy it to use as a colander or a strainer?
No, I bought it to piss my wife off by spilling water all over the kitchen floor.
Well, then, I mean, it did its job. So I guess at that point, it's a perfect bucket.
Perfect bucket. I change all my opinions.
It depends what the holes were served for.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I get the whole eye appeal thing, and I understand why people want to sell a 1 with awesome eye appeal for more than the going rate of a 1.
And by the way, the buyer might agree with you. The buyer might be okay with that, and that's perfectly fine.
And as a seller, you can sell anything you want for as much as you want. But good luck in it, right?
I'm gonna make. Can I use the word revolutionary? Because isn't that the popular thing now?
You got Brandon. You have the beard to claim a revolution.
All right. I'm gonna make a revolutionary statement right now. We are at the age and the moment and the place in the space that we need to utilize grading as a guide. Take the number on the slab and just use it as a guide, and then use your own personal judgment based on that number of how you feel about the card. Just use it as your starting point. Remember how long, Beckett, it was our little Bible, our price guide. We had 2 columns there. We had to decide which column to use. Let's just use the grading and the number as just a guide, as a starting point.
This is where I need a button, Eric, that is like scandal.
Oh, damn.
See, I think
wasn't trying to get that bad.
I think after that diatribe, you should have hit the applause button. That was a good one because I agreed with him. That applause button would have worked good there.
Yeah, I'm just saying that would have been pretty good.
It is a guide, and it's because it's a guide. We know for a fact it's only a guide because you can send the same card in 10 times and come back with 10 different numbers attached to it. So it is just a guide, and it was the whole point was to prove authenticity and for the seller and a buyer to come to some kind of agreement of the condition of the card when purchasing and selling. That was the whole point of it. Okay. And I don't see why that needed to change. Now it's the end all be all, the numbers, the number, we got comps, we got this. So
Eric, I want to touch on that. Hang on. There's like a good topic here. And by the way, I'll be able to interweave this into an Expo conversation in a minute, just while I'm eating my sandwich. Pardon me. But I can kind of touch on what you're just talking about, though. The answer is money. Because we've talked about this before. If the answer is always money, because, and Brandon, I think you'll agree with this. If a 1 was $100, so let's say it's this nice card, a vintage card. A 1 is $100, but a 10 is $200 or $300. And that's all the way at the 10. And all the in between are these marginal, minor jumps all along the way. So by the time you get to a 10, it's only worth like 2.5, 3 times what the 1 is. Do we really give a shit then? If it's a 6 or a 7, then does it really matter?
I actually think if that was the case, what did PSA do in April? 2.2 million. I think people would send like 5 times that because it would just be like anything. It doesn't matter. Send it in. It's $100 in a 1. It's 200 in a 10. Send it all in. Or it would be the complete opposite, and we wouldn't need grading because everybody back to Beckett days, you got 2 columns, 100 or 200. Well, make your decision.
Yeah, but I'm saying the reason I'm saying this, this is not meant to be a scandal statement. I'm just pointing out that if the differences are minor, then we're not spending a ton of time quibbling. Because if a 6 and a 7, and the price is a couple of dollars,
right?
Eric, in that situation, if you like the card, but you're convinced it's not a 7, but the difference is like $10 or $5. Yeah. Are you going to fight the guy to the death for $5 at that point? I'd be like, fine, you know what? Take the $5, dude. Whatever.
I think there is a level to the conversation amongst the grading and the standards and the system and the scale and all of that. We can use the term broken if we want. But I think it's in a different manner. I think that, and God, I don't really want to give them credit for this.
Ooh.
But I think Beckett was onto something when they had the separation amongst the modern and the vintage. Because I do think the two spaces, like it's hard to grade a vintage card, and I think a lot of the standards were set towards the vintage. But then when we flow it over into the modern, it's like this completely different scenario because so many things are being sent in right away. We're seeing so many weird, quirky manufacturing defects and everything else. And I don't think that everything straight out of a pack needs to go into a holder. So
well, yeah, that's 100% true. Yes.
Yeah. And I would be okay if they wanted to have, I guess you could put it as a separation of scale, a vintage scale, to help better determine the conditional, numerical grade on the vintage stuff, and then just have like, I think the modern stuff needs a very simplified basic scale, but the two don't kind of mesh or intertwine. So I would be okay if they did something like that. I would actually understand it. I think the system might be a little bit outdated now over the course of the last 30 some years. But as far as saying that the whole thing is just, it's a waste and just go to eye appeal scale, I don't see that being the case either. So I know I just gave Beckett credibility, but they might have been onto something of having the vintage grading and then a more modern style grading. So
Eric, I didn't think I'd see the day where I'd see Brandon being like, BVG needs to come back.
And they will also bring in BCC.
We have tag
CCCCCCCCCCCCG also.
Well, look, Eric, hold on. Let's be honest about this for a second. The B, the many C's, and the G was literally send 5,000 cards at a time. That's the purpose of it. And the grading scale is like, it exists in theory. What the 10 in BCCCC, all the C's, and the G actually means is the...
It just said mint. It didn't even say gem mint. They didn't play that there was a gem mint.
Yeah. But let's be honest, Brandon, what it actually means is the card hasn't disintegrated. That's usually all it means. If you're lucky, that's all it means. It just means the card hasn't disintegrated.
It was their collector club grading.
Yeah. But BVG literally did sell itself on the idea of having a honestly easier scale for vintage. That's what it was. It was an easier scale to account for vintage's quirks and printing defects and issues like that. And that's all they did. And getting me Bob Jackson. Some sheets with a placer a bit offset so you get crazy print errors. I love it.
I think this is the only one I have if you want to just show it so people remember it or know about it. But I think this is the only one I have of BVG. And that's Bobby Orr All-Star 7.5. And it's got centering is an 8, edges 7.5, corners 7.5, surface is an 8. So 74, 75 tops. And you can see up here in the little window, that's what it looked like. So.
And you see, Brandon, for that, as an example there, they couldn't even figure out that that was a fake card because Bobby Orr never played on the Bruins. He's a Chicago Blackhawks legend. Everybody knows that.
Well, I'll tell you though, they were still putting it in the penny sleeves and sticking them in here back then.
They still do that for BGS is still there.
Yeah, that still sucks.
Yep, minor league card. That's right, Josh. You got it. Bob Jackson says so. That's like a PSA 3, Eric. That's right. Bruins are not a real team. Ham, you got it. That's right.
The Bruins are a real team. They just suck.
I see.
I was just trying to show the BVGs, okay? I didn't do Bruins commentary or your Bobby Orr slander. I just wanted to show the stupid product.
Well, Eric, would it make you feel? Hold on, I'm about to get the silly card of the week because I do want to get into it, Brandon, and I have them, so I want to share it. But maybe Eric seems a little agitated, so maybe Brandon, maybe what I should do is maybe we should show him something that will make him feel better.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, he wasn't able to join. You know, since Eric didn't make it to the Expo, he wasn't able to see his old friend Ray Bork. He wasn't able to run away from him as he tried to eat brains. But we can always think back.
For zombies as like increased my passion for The Walking Dead. I respect it, Eric.
It has. Maybe we can make Eric feel better. Maybe we could show one of our favorite images. There is an image that Eric had at Sports World with Ray Bork. And I'm even going to be nice and I'm not going to show the real image of him as a zombie. I'll show the doctored version that Eric likes to share with people. He shares it on his Instagram and all these things. I'll show you the other version just to make Eric feel a little better. So here, I'll show it. There it is. Looks phenomenal. Looks great. I like the jersey, Eric. I got to be honest. I didn't realize you were quite the fashion plate, but I think that's the best you've ever looked.
Christ almighty. Hey, I hate AI.
It's great. That's great.
I hate AI.
That's fantastic.
Why do you hate AI? Eric, you have a wardrobe that is beyond most like females with like the big, huge walk. You have more jerseys and stuff like that than we ever could have imagined.
And he didn't. And by the way, Eric, in the spirit of bouginess, did not spare expense. Like, look, he's got the front crest, he's got the shoulder crests on it. That's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's even got the little ties on the front. Man, it's pretty good. So don't worry, Eric. I'll send you a copy of your latest issue, your picture with Ray. Maybe we can get Ray to sign the picture. That'd be great.
He wouldn't. You think he's going to remember what I was wearing? He'd totally sign it.
And it will only add legitimacy. It will only add legitimacy.
Remember, I would if I was.
What does he charge for TTM?
Oh.
See, look at that. Jersey makes it 20 pounds lighter. You're weird all the time. That's right. Josh says, Eric looking classy, representing his wishful alma mater. See? It's okay, Eric. I'll rep it for you. Just for you.
Oh, good Jesus.
I'm always here to help. See, Brandon, I always got shit prepared. Always got shit prepared. All right. Bob Jackson's right. Nothing wrong.
That's all I need is Bob Jackson tonight. It's not.
You heard it, Bob. You're all he needs.
I should not have to deal with these people on a Monday. That's all I'm saying.
Wow, these people. Damn. Eric knows how to make friends and influence people. I got to tell you, he really does.
No, I don't.
Yeah. All right. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to grab the results of the silly card of the week. But in the meantime, in the chat, if you have any questions related to it, I know. So I'm going to quickly mention this since Josh did make reference to it. I can tell you that Thursday was very busy. Friday was the busiest I've ever seen it. Period. Full stop. And that includes with additional floor space. No cap, as the kids would say. That's right. Thank you, Brandon. That is the busiest Friday I've ever seen. That Friday felt like a Saturday.
Wow.
It was madness.
That is crazy.
And Saturday, I got there a little bit later on that one. It was booming. It was going. So I obviously will get a chance maybe after the fact to check. It would not shock me if Menzies says, record people through the door. And for spring, which is generally the more chill of the two, that tells me, Brandon, that they might have to reuse this configuration or see if they can get a couple more square feet for fall, because this is the chiller of the two. And they had a record amount of floor space pushing close to 300,000 square feet. And yet, it got pretty busy. Now, thankfully, because they did use that additional floor space, they were able to get a second food court included in it, which was super useful and super important because it spread the flow of people. So instead of forcing them all into one food court and basically making it a disaster, then the other ones are going to have to kind of adjust accordingly. So it's kind of interesting. Don Cherry got fired for that. Eric's not so lucky. It's true.
Don Cherry should have been fired.
Don Cherry should have been shot. I agree with Eric.
Yeah,
Mike Good says, you're right. Eric, I need to be 5% better with my comments on Mondays. Thank you, Mike. Definitely agree about Friday. Sunday felt like a Thursday night. Well, thankfully, we're trying to be more mature here, despite Eric's desire to have Don Cherry shot. Seemed kind of rude.
Nope.
He's old. He could die anytime. Look, you've already wished death upon so many people. He could die anytime. Nope. You don't need him to be shot too.
Long live Don Cherry.
Carlos, use your Maple Leaf Baseball discounted by Eric a Guelph Royals jersey. His first jersey since the 86 wrestling. That'd be amazing. Be sensational. It's true. I could probably get a discount on that. Let's see here. What percentage of the show now was high-end boots? Seems every year I see comments about how the low-end stuff has been getting phased out. Also, was the sausage guy there? So to answer your last question, absolutely. 100%. To answer the other one, I actually think they did a good job mixing it up because the additional floor space so what they did basically is, for people not familiar, the International Center is comprised of all these different halls. And you can use the halls. They're basically, most of the halls are connected to each other, but you can also open doors to make access to different halls. So you can do different configurations. And over the years, the Expo has been in a good chunk of the halls available to it. Different halls have different sizes, so you can kind of add square footage depending on which configuration you use. This is the first time they have ever used Hall 1, which they've used in the past, by the way, just for an Expo on its own. Hall 2, which has also been used in the past, and Hall 3, which has also been used in the past. But this is the first time they've used all three of them together. And those three, since they are, numerically following directly, they're all interconnected. So you can open up doors to basically open the space to give you all of Hall 1. It extends into Hall 2. Hall 2 extends into Hall 3. And as a result of that, basically you're adding all this extra floors. But by doing that, in Hall 1, you were able to put the newer dealers mostly in Hall 1. ComC actually ended up in Hall 1. One of the Beckett booths, because they had two, ended up in Hall 1. I think that's where they took submission. And also in Hall 1, they put the stage. So for the interviews and all that, they put it in Hall 1, Eric. So what they actually did is they directed the flow into that one, which had its own food court. So they had their own food court space over there. So you can have the interviews and whatever in that hall. You had that Fanatics was in that hall as well. But you also had a lot of the Pokemon's dealers. Mm-hmm. So they were in that one. So if you're in Hall 2 and Hall 3, you're not directly affected or impacted by it, but we still have plenty of floor space to work and plenty of floor space to operate. And then if you wanted to wander in there, so those vintage cards, I bought in Hall 1. So needless to say, and they were not super high end, but he had a good variety of stuff. But what I noticed was a lot of people throwing down dollar bills. So that's kind of what I was alluding to in the past. It still feels like some people have access to the money tree because there was a lot of cash money getting thrown on these tables. So even if the tables were not high end, people still were making pretty strong transactions. There were still some big deals being done and some cash being thrown on the ground. So it's kind of interesting to see. So I think the high-end booths was probably a little lower than normal, but only because they added more dealers. It's very clear they added more dealers and more tables this go around with the additional floor space. And a lot of those new dealers were kind of in the mid-range, which gave them a little bit of room. So they would have some, you could have some bargain bins, but also they had some mid-range. So that meant that the high-end booths that we had were still there, but they were going to be there anyway. So we just gave more room to more of the mid-range guys. As a result, it dropped a percentage, but still kept the high end in the room, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
It still makes the king.
And I'm all for, and in a positive way, I say this, not a negative, keep them Pokemans away from me kind of thing. But I think it's smart to separate, the TCG and the sports cards. If you're somebody that's just going there for one thing, if you're just going there for TCG, you don't want to have to go around Hall 2 and Hall 3 and go find it way in the, you're there for one thing. And to have a room that's mostly dedicated to it makes it a lot easier for the customer. same thing with sports cards. I don't want to have to go through 5 rows, because I walk up and down the rows and do the quick look, to see if there's something that catches my eye. I don't want to go up and down 5 rows of Pokemans. That's a waste of my time. So I think it's a good thing, and not again, in a positive way. I think it's a good thing to keep them separated. And it's like, if you're interested in TCG, head in this direction. If you want sports cards and memorabilia, head in this direction. And then, of course, there's always the option that, you can hit both if you're interested in it. And there's nothing wrong, of course, that if somebody in either side has a couple of extra items in their showcase of Pokemon or Magic or whatever, but majority is sports cards. No one's going to be like, oh, wait a minute, you're not allowed to have that over here. That's ridiculous, obviously. But I think it's really good for customers to be able to say, okay, I walk in, I go left to find what I'm looking for over here. I go right to find what I'm looking for over here. And I don't have to waste time dodging people that don't have the same interests as me. And I don't have to go through tables that don't have anything that I'm looking for. So I think that's a good idea to, because it's growing. The hobby on that side of the hobby is growing very, very fast right now. There's a lot of money, millions of dollars being put into, these non-sports cards. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
For grading purposes, overall with the 5 companies Gem Rate shows, there was about 2.2 million TCG graded.
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side for sports, it came in at 7, call it roughly like 800,000.
Yeah. Right now, the
like
TCG is carrying the load.
2.5x on the TCG graded side.
Yeah, TCG is carrying the load for that.
So I'm not dismissing them. I just want to make it clear. I am not poo-pooing them. I'm not dismissing them. I do think, though, for ease of use, I think they should be separated at shows.
I think
to make it easy for the consumer.
I think it helps the dealers and the buyers because you're all together there. And like most of the TCG specific dealers, it's kind of like the sports car dealers. They're going to buy and stuff and transact amongst themselves as well. So they're not having to go around looking for everybody. But I would almost take it a step further. And I don't know if the show promoters or anything have ever thought about this. But going to the point of separating the TCG out, I wonder if they've ever considered, and again, going down this path, there's a theme here, but what about separating and putting together the vintage sports stuff or like a dealer that's majority vintage, have a vintage area and then have a modern area as well, because I think that would help as well.
I think it would be interesting, but I think, and Eric can kind of attest to this, the vintage only guys, there's not enough of them to justify it. It's one of those things where a lot of the dealers, even the ones that a lot of the ones that have some nice stuff, have a mix. They've got at
the expo. I would agree.
Yeah,
because there's show thoughts in general.
Yeah,
if they started like making those plans down here, I guess in the States, really, you have your vintage known shows.
Yeah, there's a few guys that specialize. Yeah, there's a few guys that specialize for guys when you've got that, because for example, like Sloth 55, he's one who has like almost like a row, like a whole column of vintage. And he more or less specializes in it. That's kind of, the main stuff that they carry. The Colin Murray and those guys over there, they carry that. There's a booth right at the front that usually has a pretty strong amount of it. But even like on this show, I can tell you right now, they have a whole section up at the front. The booth name escapes me right now, but like if you ever go to the expo, it's literally right at the front. It's a long, row of tables, and most of it is like, vintage baseball, vintage football, vintage hockey, et cetera, et cetera. But this year, right at the end of the table, like the last 2 showcases were Pokemans. So even like they're like 95% vintage, but they got a couple of showcases at the end for Pokemans.
Yeah, make the money,
Yeah. So it's like, so everybody's kind of incorporating that into it because again, their goal is to make money. I did laugh though. I was thinking as Eric was talking, the Offspring did tell us to keep them separated.
Well,
music reference.
I mean, since we're on the topic, I listed this right before we started recording, and it's already sold. So
yeah,
and this is SGC Pokemans.
Yeah.
The bottom
Brandon, that's because, as we well know with SGC, there's like 16 graded SGC cards in existence. So they bought it because they're like, they don't even care about the Pokemon's card. They're like, wait, is it SGC Pokemon card?
Low pop.
Fancy, schmancy. What I was going to say though is I was actually watching I've enjoyed now that I'm post Expo. I've enjoyed watching some of the different Expo recap videos from different YouTube people who do come in, because we do have some that do kind of cover it and they'll do videos about it and such. And Ziri, who is obviously a big breaker in the space, he does a lot of the hockey card breaks, and he's built up a pretty good following, which is funny. Like I've used him as an example because considering it's a niche, you think hockey cards niche, you think breaking hockey cards niche. But he's got a subscriber base and a consistent viewership who is watching all of his breaking videos all the time. So he's got strong numbers even compared to other sports card channels. But what's funny though is that he likes to go to the Expo and he started, buying higher end stuff as time has gone on. He'll sell some of the stuff he's pulled from breaks and such. He does have sponsors and the whole thing. But it made me laugh because I watched this recap and he was trying to suggest that Pokemon, it was getting this gigantic footprint in it. And I'm sitting there like, what show did you go to? Yes, the CSC section is if you only hung out in the CSC section, then yes, I can see how you could. But I'm sitting there like, I'm looking at halls 2 and halls 3. Yes, there is Pokemon in some of these tables, but I'm sitting there like, I can go entire tables and not see a Pokemon card. And also I can get to the end of the row and they'll have a couple of showcases. The example I just gave, somebody who is mostly in vintage has a couple of cases of Pokemon because, well, they like money.
Yes, money is people.
If there's money to be made, sure, they'll incorporate some, but it's the percentage is still very, very low compared to it, unless you go to the CSC section, which, by the way, also is newer dealers. The newer dealers are probably going to have more modern and more Pokemon. It would stand to reason because a lot of these newer dealers, Brandon, probably don't have access to vintage. Even if they were interested in it, they just simply don't have access to the inventory. How are they going to source it? The more established dealers have networks and been buying collections and been doing all this, well, they're more likely to have access. Sometimes it's a logistics issue. Like if you don't have access to it, how are you going to sell it?
Mm-hmm.
On a side note, have you guys been following this new card trend of these cards called One Piece?
That's another TCG, yes.
They are
familiar with
it. The prices are crazy. And we're having people coming in constantly now asking us about them. Now, I have to do a better job at educating myself on them. I mean, I get a general idea. It's another TCG game thing. It's got drawings.
Yeah, and it's based on an anime cartoon.
Yeah. So
Eric is educating himself because he's like, ooh, these remind me of a manual in space.
They also are like, wait, so there's value? The claw has returned.
It's actually been out for a long time. The cards are relatively
but that's what I was saying. Like there was an anime show and like an anime comic series. Like that's what it's based on, and that's been out for years.
Some of these things are like thousands of dollars. It's crazy, absolutely crazy how quickly this became a thing, and people are coming in routinely asking us about them. Do you have any? And we're like, well, we're looking into trying to find some and get them at a good price so then we could sell them and make money. But it's just absolutely a fire sale right now. It's just absolutely nuts what's these things. So
I still stand by I was part of the conversation I was having with a buddy, as I said, at the end of the day, that's going to be the nostalgia for the next generation. That's the stuff they're playing. That's the stuff they're watching. So to me, it's like, well, so for the dealers, it's right now, the Expo remains based on the demographics we have and everything. It is still going to be a strongly sports card related show. And it's still going to be strongest in hockey. They have increased the blend in the mix. There's definitely a lot more of baseball and basketball and football than there were in years past. So they've kind of mixed it up a little bit, but it goes back to where we were talking about a little bit earlier. Dealers like making money. Well, how do you do that? Well, you got to make sure you have available the stuff that people want. So what do the people want? Make sure it's available, right? It makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Yeah. Make sure you, Brandon, for some reason, it's a controversial take to be like, why don't you make available stuff that people want? That's an idea. That's a good thought. You should try that.
Yep.
We still have a handful of dealers that like running a museum, but the majority of them actually like selling inventory. Well, the ones that like selling inventory are probably, if they can figure out the One Piece thing and it's still a hot thing, by the next show, there's a couple of those guys that are going to sell One Piece. I can pretty much guarantee it. They'll figure it out. They'll do their best to try. Doesn't mean they're going to do a great job of it, but they will try to at least understand it enough to try to sell it and try to make some money on it. And I totally don't blame them, and I totally understand. That's just how the game is played. Mike here says, Carlos was curious, what's the market for CFL football cards? Very niche. Very niche. They're definitely collectors for it. But I think one thing that hurt it, because if you're a CFL card collector, and they do exist, the beast does exist, but it's very, very niche. You've pretty much got the vintage cards, the vintage. You've got that. And then there were all these years that CFL cards were produced by Jago, which was kind of this obscure thing that I knew of. I've seen the cards over the years. I have no idea who distributed them. I can say this truthfully. I've been around since 1990, collecting consistently, nonstop. I've been going to the Expo shows since like 95. So more than 30 years I've been attending expos. I know of the Jago cards. I could find them. I could identify them. I have no idea where they were distributed. I can't think of one dealer that I've ever heard of that actually sold them originally, but they're there. They exist. The sets were made, and you can find them. And I think that hurt it. I think that all those years where they're being produced by this obscure kind of manufacturer that like isn't something you're thinking about. But that's where a lot of these CFL cards went, especially like in the 90s and the 80s and stuff like that. It wasn't like a regular manufacturer. So I'll see if I can pull it up for you so I can show you. Yeah, well, that's basically the problem that you ran into. You almost had the same question for people. They were like, what is that? So let me see if I can find kind of an example to kind of show you. And then Upper Deck has taken it over in recent years. So I think that helps because at least it's a recognizable manufacturer. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm still trying to see if I can get my head around. I would love to know who actually like breaks a lot of CFL. Like it's there. You can definitely buy it. I just don't know who is doing it. You know, maybe Eric is breaking it in his basement. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know, that's how I roll. It's kind of how I roll.
Hey, listen, you got to do what you got to do, Eric. Whatever you're into. All right, so here I can show you just a quick example here. So if you're familiar with Larry Fritch cards, they're a big dealer out of the US. Tons of cards, big inventory, they're around. So here, even on their website, they actually have Jago. 1992 Jago set, 1982 Ottawa Rough Riders team set, the 84 Jago. You can see they're very plain, like very basic design. There's nothing crazy about it. 87 with the blue borders. Like, look at this stuff. 88 Jago regional teams. It almost feels like they're basically an equivalent to like star cards. But they went for years and it just kept going. But they were basically the only ones producing CFL cards. Like, this is it. You wanted CFL cards. You're a CFL collector. You were in the wilderness. This 1993 here, this white border one, I remember those. But I couldn't tell you. I can't think of anybody. So here they are, like 1991, unopened box, 36 packs. You can get it for $13. Have at it. That's even today. They exist, so they're out there. But imagine you got years with this obscure like manufacturer. I don't know what else they've ever met. I'm assuming they make other stuff. I don't know what else they make. I don't know what other licenses or things they had access to because I can't tell you anything about the company. I just know they made cards for years. So I don't know what to say. It's kind of interesting. Yeah. Oh, here we go. I got it. These cards were frequently sold by dealers like Game Breaker, Sports Cards, and Pastime Sports, with sets dating back to the 80s through the recent 24 and 25 alumni issue. So they still make some. But yeah, it's kind of niche. But they did them basically through the 80s. It looks like typically sold as complete sets or specific team player sets. So yeah, it does feel like star cards. Feels very star cardsy to me. Low print runs relatively for some of them. So yeah, doesn't feel like there's a lot there. Sell for Kira and Neon Genesis cards. Look at you. The rat mascot is the best card. That's right. That could have been, Eric, if I hadn't already kind of tipped my hand, that could have been a silly card of the week. The rat mascot. That would have been a good one. Maybe, you never know. Maybe, Brandon, if I wait long enough, maybe suddenly, boom, we bring the rat card back. For an article about Jago, they distributed their own cards, producing the auto area. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, it's very small production. All world made CFL. Thank you, Refractor Jones. Thank you for that. But yeah, you can tell. So going back to kind of Mike's question, what is the market for CFL football cards? You don't have much of one. Even if you wanted one, Brandon, man, you're gonna have a tough time. You're gonna have to really do some digging. Now, the good news is if you find anything, it probably won't be super expensive, but you are gonna have to do some digging because for years that's all that was available. They just didn't make cards.
They're Topps Chrome CFL football cards.
Brandon, don't tempt me with a good time.
Oh, boy.
Break party.
$1,600 Canadian boxes.
Listen to me, Brandon. We could get in on the breaks, and we will make sure that Eric buys the Ottawa Rough Riders slot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gotta have them.
And then everybody will be like, shh, don't tell them. The Rough Riders are gone. The Rough Riders don't exist anymore. Now, the Saskatchewan Rough Riders are still around, but the Ottawa ones are gone.
Yeah, because that always made sense.
Yeah, well, like, listen, it makes as much sense as the Boston Bruins. I didn't see a single Bruin skating for this team.
Bruins suck.
I'm in a small but passionate CFL Facebook group, mostly team collectors. That makes sense to me. That's fair. I think if you go like vintage, though, like I think there are some interesting sets in the vintage because Topps actually made them. So they actually had some years where Topps was making some vintage, and you can definitely get it. And back, if you go to like the 50s, there were players who kind of went back and forth because the CFL was paying competitively with what the NFL was paying. So they were able to get good players. So it's a situation where, like, yeah, you could definitely have if you're interested, you could definitely go seek some of those out. Those ones are of interest, I think, to some collectors. That 80s and the 90s, you can see Jago. We just gave you a quick rundown on Jago. It's like, you can tell how obscure that is. Yeah, Theismann and Moon. So Theismann would be in the 70s. So there's the Argonauts card. So the Toronto Argonauts Theismann card, that's definitely popular. And Warren Moon, for sure. And if you notice, two guys who had great success outside of it, but they've got CFL cards. So you're talking Warren Moon? Absolutely. NFL Hall of Fame. Joe Theismann, great player, won the Super Bowl. Like, sure. So they're going to have some markets, but they've got the cards available. It's interesting. It's an interesting but very niche market. You have to really go down the rabbit hole to see that one. All right. So now I was able to get everything compiled here finally. So let's briefly do Silly Card of the Week. I have the results from last week. So
come on, let's go.
Got 44 votes. Good stuff. Thank you all for participating. Appreciate that.
Come on.
So we're going to share here the results of last week's. Victory to Bread.
Oh,
no.
Congratulations.
No. I tried. Well,
yep.
I tried.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, you see this hashtag?
I tried. Well,
yeah. Well, they tried to. they tried. I appreciate that you weren't swayed by Eric's hair attempt. Like his attempts to shame Sanders Ojolin. He's like, you know what, Sanders Ojolin, you pansy. I hate your haircut. I'll fight you. I was like, okay, well, fine.
I want to fight.
Be a jerk like that.
Fool me. He beat me up. I ain't fighting him.
But we do have, once again, a brand new set of options for the Silly Card of the Week. We will have a community post where you'll be able to make your selections. We count every single vote as the only true democracy in this world. We even let Eric win sometimes.
Sometimes.
That's how you know it's legit. So here we go. Card number 1.
Yeah, this one's mine.
Notice collector's choice again.
Yeah. So, yeah, they made some very silly cards. So you got Dan Cleary here, and it looks like he is going to bite into his hockey skate. That, or he's going to slice his own neck. I'm not 100% sure, but he's very intense. He's got his bright yellow shades up there on the top of his head, which were probably really cool during this period of time. And he's looking to do some damage with that skate. So I thought that was an interesting example. So He's either going to cut his own neck. He's threatening to kill himself and cut his own neck, or he's going to bite into the blade. I don't know which one.
Wow. Once again, Brandon, you notice his first thoughts go to death.
He looks like a psycho. He's like, I'll do it, man. Stay back. I'll do it. That's what it looks like to me.
And then Eric tries to talk him off the ledge by going, by the time you're in your early 50s, you're close to death anyway. So you're practically like already there. And it's like, you're not helping.
The way my back feels today, I think I am close to death.
Oh, we just assumed like you're basically the same age as the guy who died and gave all his cards to Sports World. So hopefully you got your fair.
I just would like to point out that Eric's sitting here complaining about his back and everything else, and everybody gives me such grief about being such an old ass and everything. And I was chasing a 2-year-old around the playground, going up and sliding down the damn curvy slide and everything else like a dozen times for over an hour and a half. And I'm not sitting here complaining one bit. Eric, suck it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Eric at this point couldn't chase a 200-year-old.
At what point do we tell everyone that I'm almost 10 years older than you?
You're not almost 10 years older than you or than me. You're like 5.
It's almost 10.
Almost 10. By Eric Math. Hashtag Eric Math. All right, moving on.
We went silly cards. I found this and I couldn't believe not only that this exists, but what one of these has sold for.
What the
hell?
So
this
is the Invisible Man.
Allen and Ginter, Invisible Man. This is the red ink auto. And as you can see, there's not an autograph on there. But apparently, and I cannot confirm nor say whether or not this is true. Apparently, if you put it under black light, the autograph appears.
But what does he sign? Does he sign it the Invisible Man?
I do not know. I do know that one of these sold for $1,400.
Oh, good Jesus.
There's also the Invisible Man mini card that is non-autographed, and it doesn't even have an image of that this one has, like with a part of a person on it. It's just a red blob. And those sell regularly for $20 to $30. So, Invisible Man autograph, y'all, and somebody paid $1,400 for this card.
So on a related note, for next week's pickups, Eric will be sharing.
This is my card for next week. You guys like it?
So a couple of thoughts here, and we'll get into more of it in a minute. I will say, the $1,400 is hilarious. The Invisible Man, look, I appreciate the gimmick. I'll say this. I appreciate the gimmick.
Cotton candy. Just letting you know. So that joke doesn't work. I hate cotton candy.
So I appreciate the gimmick here. I'm surprised why, we're really trying to talk down the fact that Bobbles brought us John Cena. We can't see him. And not only John Cena, he's like trying to be hip with the kids. He's trying to do the 6'7", like he's got the arm gestures going.
I am curious though if there is actually an autograph in the old decoder pen ink. It says if you put it under the black light, there is an autograph. But again, I've not seen any truth to that. But anyway, somebody paid $1,400 for this thing. So
yeah. And by the way, Mike got the part that I was going with, so it was getting there.
Yeah.
So well played, sir. Well played.
Very nice.
This is you have to chase the 2-year-old so long because you couldn't catch him. He's evasive.
No. She's attached.
I'd have to bring like a rope and make a lasso to catch a 2-year-old now. There's no way I'm catching one.
John Cena Sandman's final opponent? Yes, question mark.
I know who John Cena is. No idea what a Sandman is, but
Sandman was also a wrestler.
Well, I assume, but I never heard of him.
Yeah. So just in case, I'm just curious. I am making a distinction between the invisible autograph and making your money disappear.
Mm-hmm.
These are two different jokes. Both fair, but I just want to make sure we're making a distinction. These are two separate jokes. Also, last thing I want to mention here. How the fuck did they get the Allen Ginter centering wrong on the bottom of the card? Look at that. That is way to the left.
I don't know if
Invisible Man, you have one job. The card is inside the insert. The bottom thing is like, Eric, look at how far leaned over. Like it's literally off center. It's bordering a miscut down there.
When you deal with making these nonsense ass cards, man, who knows?
That's the design.
It's just
All the way out to the left to the point it looks borderline miscut.
Yep, even the horizontal ones, they're the same way. That's
weird.
To the left. So that's the design.
I don't like that. It just like aesthetically it throws me off.
yeah.
So they're all twos based on eye appeal.
Totally, 100%.
So
All right,
one
last
based
one.
on stupid.
Last one is a tribute to Eric.
Oh, good Jesus! Here we go.
Greatest living Boston
Ooh.
Bruin.
Oh my God, that's an actual card.
Oh yes.
Oh God.
These are the Provisions Fleer produced by our friends at Upper Deck for Eric. Well, this is Joe Thornton, obviously, shown with his secondary team. But it's the beard, Brandon. I figured you'd appreciate it. So number one is Joe Thornton because Eric. Greatest living Boston Bruin ever. Greatest living or dead Boston Bruin. There is no better. It's pretty much Joe Thornton, dead zombie Ray Bork, and the rest are all trash. Right here, top of the food chain. Now, I understand he's sporting the San Jose Sharks, but still a tribute to Eric. And then the beard is basically attacking the city or something.
Do you remember in November, I was like this close to having to drive to Toronto and give him something? I was so glad that didn't happen because I did not want to.
I am glad too, because now that this card exists, now we can have him sign this for you. And now you can have the Grail of Grails. Amazing. Sensational.
That's something else right there. Wow.
As soon as I saw this, Brandon, I'm like, I want this. I want this for me. I want this for Eric. I want this for the people. I want this for the content gods.
God.
It is quite the thing. In support of Eric, Thornton gets my vote. Thank you, Josh.
Shut up, Josh.
We appreciate you. Yes, Brandon.
So I was just curious since I was on here.
I was hoping, as a connoisseur of beard, I was hoping you'd weigh in on this. Please.
So to make my card even sillier, according to Terapeak, if you go to 2009 Ginter Auto, it is the highest selling Ginter autograph from the 2009 set over the last 3 years. Make it make sense.
Well, that either speaks to the power of the Invisible Man's popularity, or it says a lot, or it's a very negative about the other ones.
Yeah.
I'll let you decide which one it is. Like it's open-ended to me, Eric. I don't have to commit to a position on this, but I will say I'm going to need more information.
God.
Bask in it, Eric. Bask in its glory. Provisions.
I'm trying not to look at it, but it's just like a car crash. I can't help
Brandon, it's majestic. It's basically Renaissance
I like
art.
the image. Yeah.
It's Renaissance art, basically. Like this should be hanging in the Louvre. As soon as I saw it, Brandon, I knew what had to be done. I understood the assignment. That's what this segment is for, people. That's what the segment is. So we can bring to your attention. Last week,
Eric's
I brought you red tag.
Ice skate and try to be like Don Cleary.
That's right. He's like, I'll finish the job. I'll show you how to do it the right way.
Exactly. Oh my God.
That's all I'm saying. Listen, it is what it is. So we got that. Now that said, I did enjoy, since I, for the most part, didn't go too crazy in buying a ton of singles. I did want to make a mention of kind of the other thing that kind of crossed my mind as I was looking around. I looked at different tables. I saw a couple of things that I thought were nice, but I decided that my main goal was to be like, look, I have no problem, no qualms at all about spending money on cards that interest me, cards that intrigue me. Like those 61 Parkhurst cards, I thought they were great. I gave myself a checklist so I could find if I could see some cool, and I knew I was going to find stuff. But if the key to this, if I had been so inclined, Eric, I could have completed that set at that show. I could have literally just thrown money at the problem. I could have walked to a couple of dealers and I could have finished the whole set on the show floor without leaving. Because such is the way the show floor is set up. And by the way, plenty of dealers have enough inventory that you could totally get through the singles and find plenty of stuff. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to find some copies that would be suitable for the set that I want to build, which is its own thing. But then the other part is I wasn't in a hurry just to spend money for the sake of spending money. But I think what's gotten a bit interesting, and this was a very specific, and I'll answer Josh's question here in a moment. What I find, though, is that although the room was full with a ton of cards, once you get far enough along in some of your collecting projects and you become a little bit pickier, then it gets a little bit tougher because all of a sudden you're like sitting there. It's not just a matter of just spending. Like, look, I could have bought the stuff and spent money for the sake of spending money. If that was the goal, no problem. Like, I could have blown through thousands of dollars in a couple of minutes. That would have been very easy to do. But it wouldn't have been stuff that I would have been particularly keen on. It would have been stuff that I would have been excited about. And that's the key. That's the important part.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be stuff that I'm excited about. Steve had some really nice stuff that I liked. Well, boom, no problem. Done deal. The 61 Parker's cards are going to fit as part of a set project I'm working on. Beautiful. I found some nice cards that I liked. Again, done deal. No problem. The other one I showed on the video, I showed a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. autograph. I liked the picture on it. I figured it'd be nice to have as a memento on there. I got the George Springer card. That was literally a $2 card. It was just like a toss in as part of it. And then I did make reference to it on the other live when we were talking about it. I did gift Brett Hardlin a Savage. And I put into his hand, I told him, well, never go full.
No, never, ever.
Never go full. But the point is, it came out of Heritage. By the way, very inexpensive card. Because if you go look at what the Heritage are, they're a couple bucks. They're nothing too crazy. That wasn't the point. The point was the story. Because obviously the Never Go Full You Savage was one of our favorite things that we were able to have during that last year's World Series run. That card has a story to go along with it. It's not about it being an expensive card. Brad has tons of nice cards. That's not the issue. The issue is that we have a story, a fun, text message thread where we were able to have a lot of fun with that during the time when it happened. That to me was a worthy purchase to add in as part of the cards that I was grabbing from this dealer. I grabbed those other cards that were related to it. The guy had a bunch of Blue Jay cards. That's what I bought. I bought 3 Blue Jay cards. One of them was a $2 George Springer. One of them was the Vladdy, and the other one was a Trey Savage. There's thrown in there. That's the stuff where I can have some fun with it. That stuff's fun.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing. And if anything, I was going to bring up, last year when he, gave me that Bobby Orr, 77, I think it was 77 Bobby Orr, in the KSA or whatever it was.
Yeah, the great, also known as don't underplay this, bury the lead, the greatest card in your collection, bar none.
Yeah.
Well, he has to go to a different box for that one.
Yeah, this is a special box, man. Not the regular tickle trunk.
That's
a regular tickle
trunk. Commons. That's not in the tickle trunk box. That's in the specialty case.
That's in the box. That's in the box labeled #Grails.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the Savage interview thing that I shared, that was quite interesting. I didn't expect a current day athlete to be pissed off that people send cards to ask for autographs and he refuses to sign.
KSA, baby.
See, we knew that you liked that slab. That was in a special box, Eric.
That's right. That's in the special Bobby Orr box. Yep.
Oh, quick aside. Brandon, one thing that I actually made a note of it. This is not a joke. I actually made a note. So on the last night when I was there, I jotted down a couple of bullet points because I wanted to make sure that I would make reference to it during the podcast. So it actually reminded me. On multiple showcase days. So when I got that particular card for Eric, I had to scour a little bit. Obviously, dealers have the card, but you oftentimes go looking for it a little bit. I was able to find a couple of dealers that had it, found that card, sent it over to KSA and said, listen, you got to do it real special for Eric. And they said, absolutely, no problem. Say no more. So we took care of that. But this show, Brandon, even by accident, as I'm walking casually, I mentioned that I noticed a lot more O-Pee-Chee baseball this time around than I'm normally used to. And even I found that 1990 O-Pee-Chee box with my Canadian cards, which was funny since you had mentioned the Griffey. It was a good coincidence because it could have been any other O-Pee-Chee year. It could have been 89. It could have been 88. It could those boxes are out there, but it happened to be 1990, which I thought was funny. So that's why I say, I think the universe was listening a little bit. The other thing I noticed on a bunch of dealer tables that happen to have some vintage, I noticed a high preponderance of Blackhawks Bobby Orr. I was just casually walking, and from dealer table to different ones that I've just casually walked by, they'd have the usual compliment of stuff, and all of a sudden, 76, 77, Bobby Orr. I'm like, really? 77, 78, Bobby Orr. And they'd be sitting there in multiple tables. I would have had my pick of the litter. Table after table. I was like, the universe is listening. It's a sign.
Don't forget
Blackhawks, Bobby Orr.
Don't forget his last official card to be pulled out of a pack, the 79-80 Chicago Blackhawks team card. So in the 79-80 set, you got Gretzky's first card, Orr's last appearance, Stan Mikita's last appearance, Bobby Hull's last appearance, and Gordie Howe's last appearance. So that 79-80 set's kind of cool. But if you look at the 79-80 team, Chicago Blackhawks team card, he's in the second row on the left. Looking at the card, he's on the left, second row.
Indeed. I just found it hilarious. Overall, it's one of those things where I got an absolute kick out of it. It's just a fact, Brandon. I wasn't going on my way to look for it, but I was walking by tables. I was like, Blackhawks, Bobby Orr. Blackhawks, Bobby Orr. Blackhawks, Bobby Orr. I'm like, where's Eric when you need him? We're grail hunting. We're searching.
He would have been broke.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Listen, I think Brandon, I think the hashtag influence is starting to take over. Like the people are hearing me and they're understanding they're picking up what I'm putting down.
I'm surprised that hasn't been your new project, Eric. That Bobby Orr rookie in every possible graded in every possible grade.
Yeah, because I just love burning money. That sounds like a great idea.
It's a project.
Yeah.
Well, I'll like for the record, first of all, I smell Quest. And second of all, Eric is like, no, Eric, literally, you've got a room there full of burnt money. Look around you.
How many Leaf Reggies did you buy with the same identical image and signature on it when you can get that man's signature on pretty much any damn thing you want?
I'm not here to talk about the past.
Mm-hmm. Is that right? Yep. Second here. Just there we go. So real quick. So to answer Josh's question, yes, I did find wrestling at the show. That was definitely there. There were actually a couple of dealers who were wrestling specific. I didn't go too far into because obviously they got a ton of WWE stuff, and they got nice stuff. But it's obviously I'm not collecting a lot of WWE. But at the same time, like I would have liked actually. My only regret is because I did spend a lot of time sitting and chatting with folks, which that part I don't regret. But I do wish I had time managed myself a little bit better, and I'll talk about that here in a second. If I had time managed myself a little bit better on a couple of the days, I would love to have made a stop at a certain specific tables because I didn't get to all the tables. I got to maybe about 70% of the tables. Number one, they did have more floor space, but number two, also, I was like, I wasn't going to stop talking with somebody, Brandon, when I'm in the middle of a fun conversation that I'm enjoying, just to go check a couple more tables because, like I said, I wasn't worried about finding stuff. I wasn't going to leave empty-handed, and I got nice cards for the show. A couple of good stories related to the again. Even the Savage card was fun because Brad and I had a good laugh about that, and that's a fun card. Again, has a good story attached to it. But everything else, I was happy with what I got. It really came down to trying to make use of time. But there were a couple of guys that had complete tables with just wrestling. So it would have been interesting to just go and take a closer look at it just to see maybe, even if I'm not interested in it, just to check out some of the cards they had. But they definitely had some, for sure. And I do think there is more wrestling cards now than there were in previous years. That's why I said this show still remains heavy hockey dominant. But as the years have gone by, the non-sport guys have started to make some inroads and have some cards. The wrestling card guys now have a couple of dealers that focus on it, in addition to sprinkled in some other cases. Basketball's got a little bit more. Football's got a little bit more. All the other, I'm sure we can even find some cycling cards. I don't know who would buy them, but I'm sure they exist. Yeah. So the point is they've got a little bit of everything, which Brandon in the long run is good for a show. It's healthy for a show to accommodate and to have something interesting for different folks, because then it used to be you just came if you were the hockey guy. It is still cool to have the hockey on there, but it's also nice to have some of this other stuff too.
Well, I said that, in November when I came up and it was my first time ever there. some of the stuff I bought was definitely not hockey. I bought some of the pop culture. I bought one or two Walking Dead autos. I bought a Dexter auto. Like there was other stuff there. And also, hell, they have stuff that you don't see at shows here normally. Like the meat person, that everybody, the famous meat person, but they also have the space that was on the back wall that sold Lego and all that stuff. You had the Toronto Maple Leafs set up where they were selling all of the team issued and used items back there. We don't see that stuff normally here. You don't have a team set up with merchandise at a show, at least not around here. I can't speak for everywhere, but yeah, it was a great assortment of stuff. I love the old guy that just dumps all of his stuff out on the table too.
Mhm.
Like that is classic. I've been doing this for years. You dig through it, find what you want. I ain't getting no display cases or nothing. Take it.
Yeah. And I think it's good to have all kinds, because that's how you, that's what distinguishes, Eric, one of some of the newer shows from the longer established shows. Because the newer show, you're going to have guys that have really streamlined their showcases. They've really streamlined it. They're not going to have a lot of value boxes because they're literally like everything is just the bare minimum. There's going to be nice cards in it. Just to be clear, there's going to be nice cards in it. But if you're not collecting that specific thing, if I want to find Future Watch autos, I have my choice. There are so many dealers that have plenty of that inventory available. Young Guns, plenty of dealers have that inventory in stacks. That stuff you'll be able to find all day long. A lot of times with guys like me who have been around a little while, I'm looking for the obscure. I'm looking for a little bit something off the beaten path, something that I don't have 50 copies of. And it doesn't have to be expensive. I actually screwed up and I didn't include it in the pickup video earlier this week, but I was going to mention it, but I'll quickly show you guys. So this is actually an item that I picked up that came in the mail this past week. So this is not a Medano card, but it's a Medano punch out standee. And this is from a company called Interplay. And this came out in 08 or so. And the thing is, so you can actually punch it out, assemble it. It's actually a little cardboard stand-up. What happens is they only made this for a season or two. COMC actually acknowledges this. They're familiar with what it is, but it's obscure. These aren't expensive. This maybe cost me like $6 or $7 shipped. Like it's not an expensive thing. Right. But you finding it intact is a little bit tougher because obviously people punched them out and made the little standee. Well, this counts. This is part of my Medano collection. This is part of the thing, but it's like $6 or $7.
Right.
But this is the kind of stuff I look for. This is I wasn't completely aware what this was until I did a little digging and figured it out. I'm like, okay, this is a fully licensed item. This is NHL licensed and NHLPA. He's got his NHL uniform on there. That's cool. I love finding stuff that's a little more obscure.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah, I love doing that too. My collection's filled with things like I collect Gordie Howe stuff when I can, and I'm looking up at the wall right now, and I'm looking at a fully packaged Gordie Howe skate sharpener. With him in his Detroit Red Wings uniform, emblem and all. It's an absolute mint condition, and it's hanging on my wall in front of me. So I mean, anything like that is I love collecting it. I love getting that strange stuff, with their Michelle and Caitlin went in to a yard sale this weekend. I think my mom went too, and brought me back this, $5. But I didn't have it. That's awesome for the Bobby Orr collection.
Great. I actually seen something at the thrift store. I think it was gone the next time I had went, but they had a Golden Seals book. There's like a story, like a hardback book of the California Golden Seals.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd probably grab that if I saw it someplace and it was reasonably priced. But for $5, look at, the thing's in really good condition. It's not all torn or full of water damage or anything. It's in really good shape. It's a great picture of him on the front. Clean. It's not colored on or anything. It's from 1972. It's got a little write-up from Milt Schmidt on the back. There's a few pictures here and there inside of it, but it's mostly a read, not so much of a picture book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I love stuff like that. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. Now, Cece's got a couple of good questions. I'm going to read them here in a second. But before I do want to share. So Zach was nice enough to share with me this. Do you remember, Eric, from the Friday Live that YouTube has little surveys? And one of the questions was related to one of the videos was question, is this emotionally manipulative? Which is, by the way, one of my favorite things now ever.
Yes.
Yes, I was a big fan of that. I really loved it. So the YouTubes, even during a live stream, has questions. Apparently they have a survey too. So let's find out what tonight's survey is.
Okay.
Take a look. Does this feel like clickbait? Fucking yes. You're damn right. You're damn right.
Good.
And I love that you paused it on the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Even better.
Even better.
I love it all. I love it all. It makes me so happy.
I got all the scandals tonight. I gave Beckett praise. YouTube thinks that my silly card's clickbait.
It's all scandalous. Eric, I'm liking where this is going. All right. So Cece's questions. Good evening, gents. Good evening to you. Carlos, you like the new layout? I do, actually. I did make reference to that. I actually think this is a nice layout. I would like to see them replicate this in the fall because I think we're going to need the extra floor space. And I like having the 2 food courts. Again, some people may say, oh, why are you harping on 2 food courts? No, I actually think for quality of life for people attending the show, having that ability to separate it out so that people, if you're already on that side of the room, you're closer to that one, it keeps the traffic flow better for both sides. And that's a win for everybody. That's a big win. And again, the fact that they had ComC over in Hall 1 meant that people, you had to go out. If you were over here, you had to go out of your way to find it. But that's okay because it gets some traffic over that way. And then the Slab Sharks and these guys are over here. And then the PSA is over here. And then Beckett had a booth over there. And there's a little bit of spacing out. And again, they had the stage in Hall 1, which kept the traffic for that over there. So by spacing it out a little bit, it helps spread out the flow of traffic a little bit. It prevented any one area from becoming a super bottleneck. Eric obsessed about that whole hallway, but the reason is because it was kind of a hazard.
Yes.
Because it got so busy and so clogged and congested that it was hard. And the problem is that was the only way you could get back and forth to that section over there. And that's bad design. But when you've got 3 halls that kind of flow into each other, there's plenty of access points going back and forth. And it actually allows people to disperse a little bit, gives you a little more breathing room, which is more comfortable for the showgoer. So that's just a good layout choice. And I think that was wise for them to pick those, having access to those halls. I loved it. And I think if they can get that again, I think that would be great because I think in the fall, you're going to have more people traditionally. So having more space is good. If you can have more space and space certain things out more, I like it. It keeps the aisles from getting too tight and gives everybody more room to breathe.
Right.
Said second part here, Bobbles and Eric, you're planning to attend in November. So Eric, are we dragging you up for November? What's the plan?
My plan is, as long as everyone down here is healthy, I plan on being there in November.
You heard him. As long as Eric hasn't poisoned anyone by then, he's planning on being here for November.
My answer, I need to discuss it with my spouse further because I know she's going on a trip in September and it is our 10th wedding anniversary this year. So I got to see if she wants to go up and first I got to see if she can take the time with September and then November. So that's the first question. But then if she wants to go up to Niagara and all that again. So
valid, all valid. So there you go. That answers that question. My question is, does saying yes help or hurt your channel? I don't know. I assume YouTube wants emotional manipulation and clickbait. I don't know. So Eric, that's a valid question. It's like, is that a positive or negative? Is that a plus or a minus?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I know for for us, personally, we want all the negative stuff because that just
why not?
Yeah.
Well, Eric, it also acknowledges my evil powers.
Right.
Like, so you're saying I can emotionally manipulate. Like, listen, that sounds to me, Brandon, like I need more sponsors. If you would like access to the powers of my emotional manipulation, speaking of, thank you to AMGcollectibles.ca, AMG Collectibles YouTube channel, for their support of this live stream, this podcast, and this channel. If you would like access to the emotion manipulation powers that YouTube clearly thinks I have, call me.
Our invisibility cloak.
You know, so obviously for us and our type of humor, we would love to have all those negative things attributed to us, but I am a little worried that we might get blacked out or something if people started.
I doubt it.
I don't know.
Maybe I have to discuss it with YouTube. I happen to know for a fact, YouTube, that much like Stockholm Syndrome, our captors are now starting to side with us. Just go with it, guys. Go with it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Amazing. So yeah, I don't know, Zach. Couldn't tell you. No idea. No idea. I love it though. So let's see here. Just scrolling through. I want to make sure I get caught up. Got all the comments in there included. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions that are related to it, feel free to ask. We'll go for a couple more minutes. We'll go for a little bit till basically a little past the top of the hour, and then it'll be good. Don't want to go too long because I am still trying to get myself resituated. Thank you all for letting me have my dinner. So I did finally have it. So now we're good. Otherwise, that was a good show. I did have a good time with it. I did mention already. It was interesting. It was good. A good illustration, though, of where the collection is at. And that's maybe I'll do a video this week talking about it. But it tells me that a lot of the collections are already at a state where, yeah, I'm going to be a lot pickier with it. It is nice to have the little mini projects because that keeps things interesting. That keeps it fun. The collecting really doesn't stop. It just changes direction. It just changes focus a little bit here and there. And that's where it is. Right now, like the Banana collection is still chugging along. I'm still even finding stuff right now. And now, unfortunately, with the delays in COMC, you know, they got to get through all those ones and then Brandon's first. So the next time I ship something, I'll have to have that. But no, I'm still finding stuff here and there. And that's what's kind of fun is I'll quickly show one here, just to kind of thing. And what's funny is that a lot of stuff is kind of hidden away. So this is one that I actually literally picked up yesterday while I was doing some quick checking. And I'll mention how that kind of comes into play. So here is Throwback Threads, speaking of the Minnesota North Stars here. So this is from Panini's run with them. And they've got a couple of variants of this card, including an autograph one. I have the autograph one. This was actually one of the versions of it. I think it's the gold. I want to see here. Yeah, Mirror Gold, number 225. And it was like $20 because the seller didn't really want it. So I was like, cool, I'll take that. Great. So I'm still looking for stuff like that. Not everybody's going to be into that because I was watching a podcast where the Essential Credentials podcast guys, Matt, who now works for Upper Deck, is actually one of the hosts on that. And I chat with one of the other gentlemen all the time myself. But what's funny is that one of the things they were talking about was how as the prices have escalated on it, it's kind of, you know, deterred them. It's been a little bit of a downer on their collecting because they're like, well, they don't want to pay that price. But at the same time, now they're kind of getting burned out on the searching process. That's one I was talking about. And I was laughing, not because there's anything wrong with what he's saying. I think he's right. I think he's making a valid point. What's interesting is that, and I talked about this, because I have so many different types of projects, Eric, I never really get burned out. Right. If I just don't feel like searching for the Medano cards is hardcore, I've got the saved searches. So I'll do a skim. To me, it's not like this hardcore in-depth search. I'll do a quick skim. But sometimes I get bored and I won't buy a Medano for a while. I'll just look at I'll focus on some of these other projects. I'll do some of this other stuff. And that keeps me entertained. And then also, like, I do the content thing. So I could literally buy nothing and just do videos and talk about different stuff. And that'd be fun for me. But to be honest, the collecting, I keep my own novelty. I flip between all these different little projects. I don't obsess about one project endlessly to the detriment of everything else. Otherwise, I would get burned out and I would get super bored if that's the only thing I did.
Oh, no, you have to mix it up. I can't imagine just focusing on one thing. I have a lot of different projects, a lot of different things. You know, earlier tonight I was talking about, you know, working on, collecting every, Bruins team set, throughout, the history of, card collecting up until 1990 or 89, whatever I said earlier. So, that's something I did this week. I picked up 3 cards and completed that 62 set. I still collect hockey pucks, and I got this, Gordie Howe Whalers puck. I got Gordie Howe autographed all-star pucks, Detroit pucks, regular just black hockey pucks. I didn't have a Whalers one. Now I have a Whalers one. Okay, add that to the collection. Now I got to get it, an Arrows one. you know, I'm sure it's out there somewhere, you know. So, yeah, there's always something, you know. Like I said, you know, my family got me a Bobby Orr book. Add that to the collection. So there's all sorts of different things going on. I couldn't just do one thing and one thing only. That's what's fun about this. There's so much, you know. You know, the thing, you know, I'm kind of in between, you know, for example, you know, just as an example, I'm kind of in between like you and Bobby. You know, Bobby doesn't do cards per se, it does knickknacks. Well, I collect plenty of knickknacks and stuff. And you're pretty much just a card guy. Well, I got plenty of cards.
You just showed a jersey.
Yeah, I said pretty much. Yeah, you know, but you know, so I mean, Carlos pretty much just stays with cards. Bobby pretty much just stays with knickknacks. I gotta just jump all over the place. That's just how I do it. So, but I couldn't just do one specific. I couldn't just do Reggie Lumlin. I'd be bored off my ass.
Well, he only has one picture.
That's why I'd be bored. So, but you know, to each their own, obviously. But you know, I'd be surprised if there's anybody out there, you know, in the chat or, you know, that it's one thing only, a very, very straight line, you know, no branching off. You know, I even have a box of, you know, mixed sports. I got a box of basketball. I just collected those John Hannah cards a couple of weeks ago that I was interested in. I'm like, you know, I don't have anything from the greatest Patriot of all time. So I went out and got John Hannah's rookie card. I got a couple of autograph cards. I got a, you know, a refractor card. I'm all right. That was fun. I don't need to buy any more John Hannah stuff. I guess maybe if there was a game used piece, maybe I'd pick that up if it was at the right price, but that really would be all.
Yeah. Well, I think one key
for 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think one of the key things to that though, also, in addition to bouncing around different projects, different things, which I think is the thing, I think it's also the mentality you take into it. That's the reason why I say this is more of a philosophical concept, philosophical discussion, because there's no wrong answer here. Like genuinely, if you find it's getting boring to you or getting repetitive, I totally understand. That's completely fine. That's completely valid. But what I've always been kind of interesting to me is that I kind of get a kick out of the idea of still finding stuff. I've shared sometimes the funnest stuff that I'll talk about is not the most expensive card. It's not the rarest card. It's, oh, I've been looking for this one, or I came across this one. I hadn't seen one in a while, or I hadn't seen one in forever, and it was suddenly available, and maybe I got a great deal on it. These things are actually what makes it more interesting to me. I shared some of the pickups there, but I actually forgot this one. This one also I found on the ComSeas because I'll check it. I'll check it semi-regularly for new stuff. And I showed one of these Panini things, but this one was also something Panini had during its brief run with hockey. So there's the Panini Prime. I actually have a bunch of these for Jamie Benn. Now, to be honest, Eric, here's where sometimes it's fun to have it. It's on my checklist because I have all the things on my checklist. So it's all there. I didn't actually realize this card existed. I knew Modano was in some of these sets, but I didn't realize he had a quad patch with Leclerc, LaFontaine, and Brian Leach.
Those are good players to be on there with.
Yeah. So right there, I think what they're going with, by the way, the theme, the 1996, I think they're talking about the Team USA Canada Cup team. So I think that's the theme that they're connecting these players with because they would have all played on Team USA.
Yeah, or just, you know, yeah, I assume you're right, but yeah, you know, just great USA players. But yeah, 1996.
Yeah. So this one here is actually the prime version of this. So the Modano actually has two colors with the actual stitch on there, which is cool. That's a nice piece to have on there. The LaFontaine is multicolor. The Leach technically has two colors. So actually nice patch pieces, all things considered, on these guys. And there's a little sliver there with the Leclerc. You literally have to look at where the top of the one is. There's a little color. It's very small. But the point is, this is the out of 15. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Nice. So so number one, it's on the checklist. I grant you. But there's thousands of cards on the checklist. I cannot possibly remember every single thing that's on check. The only thing I know is that number one, I hadn't seen one of those. Number two, I didn't realize that combination was available there for that particular set. And number three, when I came across it, I was like, oh, it's out of 15. Oh, that's cool. And then I was able to go, all right, I'll go for that. Sounds great. But stuff like that I like. So it's when the opportunity presents itself to come across something like that. So there's something that technically I haven't seen before, but obviously it exists. So I'm like, oh, that's the stuff that keeps me interested.
That's awesome. Isn't that awesome when you find something that you didn't know existed? You know, I mean, that's the hunt. That's what this is all about, is the hunt. You know, we've been over it a million times. You hunt, you collect, you go, okay, great. You put it in the box, stick it in the closet, off to the next hunt almost immediately. It's the hunt. And when you know, mostly, if you've been doing this a long time and you're really into what you're doing, you know mostly what's out there. You've seen it over the years, you've studied it, you've gone on eBay for hours and gone through everything that's available. But all of a sudden, after years of doing this, all of a sudden something lands on your lap that you've never seen before. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's an adrenaline rush. And then it's all about how much money is this worth and how much do I have to put towards it?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. I gave that example, and then there was the interplay.
Yeah.
$6 with shipping. Like, it doesn't have to be an expensive thing, but and by the way, this isn't numbered. This isn't like, it's not crazy short printed. Obviously they're out there, but it's a more obscure issue. I wasn't super familiar with it. This is playing days though. That's playing days. So I was like, that's cool. The other one is post playing days, but it's a good combination of players. It's a nice little patch piece. I was like, that's neat. I didn't have one of those. That's cool. So at some point I'll get that in the collection. So that's what staves off the boredom and the burnout for me. It's a possibility that tomorrow I might see something that I haven't seen before. Yeah. Or that I haven't seen in a long time. And I'm like, oh crap, it's there. Hold on. That's exciting to me. That keeps it interesting on my end. Finding cards like that out in the world these days is hard. It seems like all the cards shown today are kabooms and downtowns. Yeah. And that's why a lot of times the card show. So you're completely valid. That's the reason why, Brendan, I love the Expo. It's my home show. It's my favorite. Obviously, I know a lot of the folks there, and we hang out, and we'll have dinners and everything. That's fun. I'll go there to hang out with them. I never leave empty-handed, but over the years, the quantity of cards that I come home with has steadily declined because it is getting a little bit tougher. I am getting pickier. And to be honest, if one actually paid attention, the number of cards I left with was boosted by the fact that a bunch of it was actually the ship my card stuff that I had bought on eBay previously that they happened to bring up for me. So it wasn't actually at the Expo, although technically I took it home from the Expo, but it wasn't found on a dealer's table. It was already found elsewhere, but that's okay. Either way, I didn't leave home empty-handed. I found some fun stuff, a couple of things for some projects I'm working on, dropped off ComC cards, dropped off some stuff for Slab Sharks. Win-win. But that's what the show was for. I'm not staying for multiple days of just searching for cards, Brendan, because guess what? I could go through every single table and maybe I would have found maybe another half dozen cards at most. There's no way that I would have found hundreds of cards. Like, it would have been maybe 5 or 6 more cards. They would have been nice cards, no doubt. But it's like, I'm not going to kill myself just to grab a small handful of additional cards.
Yep, I agree. Part of my thing right now is I let everything get out of hand and I'm roping it. Like, I'm still trimming everything back in. And so I'm niching down what I'm looking for a lot.
So for you, Eric, is it a niching down or is it just that Phil's getting better at catching you? It's not the same as niching down.
Here in this country, we have a thing called the Fifth Amendment, and I'm doing that right now.
On a related note, Zach says, for my McGuire PC, what a coincidence. McGuire was also not here to talk about the past.
Not here to talk about the past.
How interesting. For my McGuire PC, I find cool 90s inserts for my binder. They're $5 cards that I just didn't know about. Yeah. Stuff like that. That's a fun project. I actually got another Newsy Folio, Brendan. I think I told you guys. I got a Newsy Folio that I'm going to have some Dallas Star cards. Like, I've got the Medano. I've got the Jimmy Ben. Those are the key ones. But I've got a couple of Ottingers and stuff like that. That's fun. But then I did get this in hand. This will probably be the separate video. I got this one. And I thought I included in the video, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I
see.
showed you guys this one.
You shared that one.
Yeah, so now I got it in hand here, which is cool. But this doesn't fit neatly into it. I don't necessarily have a Miko PC, but I'm going to grab a couple of Miko cards. So what I did is I got a Z Folio that I'm going to put cards like this in. So a couple of the Dallas players, I'll grab a handful of cards because, again, if they make a couple of nice inserts that I like, it's just going to go into its own little Z Folio where it's just these are Dallas players that are some neat inserts that I like. Maybe some of the tech ones, like we were talking about some of the ones that we think are pretty nice looking. Well, if I find a couple of players like this that are incorporated into those, I'm going to include that into its own binder. That way it'll just be those guys.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a full-fledged collection. I don't need to Super PC Miko. I don't need to do any of that. I can grab a couple of cards here and there that I think look cool, and that will suffice.
Well, that's kind of what I do with, I've talked about I don't like a lot of the newer stuff, and trying to collect Robertson, it limits me when I'm not particularly I don't want to buy stuff just to buy it. So if I don't like the cards, I'm not going to pick them up. But then I've bought Tyler Sagan. I've added some Matt Duchene. I've added some Mikos, even though, a lot of those are Colorado. I've found some cool inserts I like, that sort of thing. I was talking to you about the Maverick Bork insert that I've been looking for.
Yep.
So I'm kind of doing the same thing. I'm piecing out to other players as well, and not just focusing on a single player, and making it more of a Dallas PC, not just a Robertson PC.
Sure. I think that's fair. Yeah. And it's okay to have those little side PCs. So thank you, Josh. A pleasure seeing you as well. Next time around, maybe we'll figure out, I'll find a way to grab a pint with you at some point, but you kept vanishing into a vortex. It was very weird. Like I saw you and then suddenly you disappeared. It was very strange. I tried to ask Eric where you were and he was like, I have no idea. So maybe like a portal, like a space-time continuum thing. It was very strange, but a pleasure seeing you. Go ahead. Respond, Eric. That's a comment.
To P?
No, it's the letter P.
Okay. I'm getting a little older, and I seem to be doing that more often.
It was a typo. I just felt like I need that fun. It was like, that's a profound statement. That's a statement. That's a profound statement right there. I hope you felt it. I felt it.
I now that I'm getting older, I seem to be doing that more often.
I don't know if it was emotionally manipulative. It might have been.
Yeah.
The Expo is vast and cavernous. These are facts. You speak facts. Oh, but I do have a question for you, Josh. I do have a question for you since you are here in the chat. Feel free to respond to the chat. I'm just curious. Did you find anything for yourself? Oh, in the brief conversation we had, obviously, I just wanted to catch up and just say hello. But did you find anything for yourself in the show? Just out of curiosity. And if anybody else did, obviously most of the folks here are stateside, but if anybody did participate in it, I would love to hear. I would love for Brandon. Unfortunately, it's obviously not going to be the national level, and not as many of folks here on this side make YouTube channels. So, but I would still love to know if folks found stuff. Like I follow different Instagram accounts and stuff, but it's cool just to see if people found stuff and just to see what kind of different things, because we all got different things we're chasing after. So yes, good to hear. Cam Neely scripted sticks, some nice consignments. Yes, very nice.
Very nice.
Oh, look at this, Eric. I'm now a Cam Neely super collector. Nice.
Oh, cool.
There you go. I like that.
See, just in arms.
Eric's going to the tickle trunk, Brandon. He's going to the tickle trunk. I'll be right back in 1 second.
Just an arm's length. We got this one here. All right, so we got Cam there. And one of my favorite pieces is, the autographed All-Star Game puck when it was here in Boston, and Ray was the MVP with the game winner with seconds to go. So Neely was in that game, so I got him to sign that. That might be my only Neely pieces at arm's length, but I got a lot more. When I picked up recently was pack pulled.
Eric, I gave you a chance to go to the tickle trunk. Go for it.
No, listen, we don't have that kind of time. But I got one to him signed at Seabass. I wanted one of those, so I finally found one, and it's autographed. Cam Neely quote Seabass, and that's one of my favorite pieces. He's also a really nice guy. I've only met him once, but very
That's why he was nice.
Very down to earth.
There you go.
Never know what you're going to get when you meet these guys. And yeah, no, he was very, very down to earth. Good guy.
You can answer that part?
For sale, what? Those are mine.
Josh just declared a Cam Newton Super Collection, so that was the end of the question that played into it.
I'm a hoarder. Maybe
clearly you are.
Maybe we can FaceTime sometime, and I'll show you everything I have.
There you go. So what I was I figured since tonight has been like a little bit different, I figured I would at least grab my beverage, so I'll be drinking that. Like I said, I'll go a couple more minutes here and then we'll call it night. But I figured I'd grab this. So this is actually, I think you'll appreciate this, Eric. So this is Amsterdam that does a lot of the beers that I usually have here. So the one with the skull on it, usually the IPAs that I include on there, that's all from Amsterdam. So it's a local brewery that will deliver this. But I saw this one and it's a oatmeal stout. I do like stouts, so I don't mind checking them out. But the reason I grabbed this one is that it actually caught me by surprise, but I figured it was okay. So I'll actually zoom in so you can see that. So check out the part at the top here.
Amsterdam Ales for ALS. All right.
So it's actually a charity thing.
Good.
So from the sale of these, they're donating to, they call it a legendary stout is what they're calling it. So obviously the initials. But yeah, apparently a portion of the proceeds will be to ALS research. I'm like, well, that's a good cause. I like a stout. That's a good cause. Brandon, when you can get a twofer, I shall consume, I shall imbibe for a good cause. It's fair. Cheers. It's access. Ash wants to see his cards again. Keep digging, Eric. Dallas Card Show. The Claw.
I was wondering. I'm like, I don't understand.
Oh, don't worry. We'll help you understand.
Uh-huh.
Your thievery is being called out.
My
Allegedly.
No, don't be silly. Don't be silly. I didn't steal anything. I've never even been to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that
Dallas
was where. Oh no, that was San Antonio.
I've been to San Antonio, yeah. But I did have to drive from like Austin to San Antonio. That took a while. But yeah, no, I've never been to Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And they literally have these people on video. And that's why I was like, they're going to catch these people within a week. Someone's going to recognize them and be like, oh yeah, that's, so-and-so who comes in here. And
Eric, the video thing is, after I got to really thinking about it, the fact that every single person that was involved with the booth was talking directly to someone that was directly involved with the whole plan and scheme. How in the hell do you all of you are talking and you cannot identify any of them?
They have really.
I had a gun held to my neck and was able to give the police description of both individuals enough that they were able to figure out who the hell they were, track them down, and arrest them. And that was with a damn gun to my neck.
Well, Brandon, to answer your question, Eric is a master of disguise. First of all. Second of all.
Watch this. Watch this. See me? See me?
We try not to, but go on. Wow, that's the guy from the Dallas Card Show theft. Did you see that? It's crazy.
Wait. Now I'm back. Ha.
See, Brandon, you ever seen I don't have kids, but you know how sometimes with little kids you do the whole peekaboo thing? That's what Eric does. That's why it doesn't work very well. The kids are still like, it's like, can't identify anybody. It's like, they all look the same. It's crazy. It's wild. Ruined it from the beginning.
I'll rub it into Eric just because I know he enjoys it. But that was today at the park.
Oh, you lucky guy.
I bet she wouldn't fall for your peekaboo routine, turning your head backwards. Wouldn't work.
No, she's She's over the peekaboo age.
Eric never got over the peekaboo age.
No, it still freaks me out when people do it. Where'd they go? Where'd they go?
Like he's still there. He still likes the piggyback rides. Like it never ended. Never ended. Indeed. So anyway, on that note, if there's any last minute comments, feel free to throw them in. Otherwise, we'll call it a night. I will actually show one more card because I remembered that I had picked it up. I actually got this at this last one. I actually got on the Fanatics Overlords live auctions last night. I came across something and I was like, oh, okay. I put a bid in there and I won. So I was like, okay, cool. Sounds fine. It's been a while since I won anything on there. So I was like, all right, fine. I'll take it. So like I said, stuff, still finding stuff, still looking around. And if I see something I like, hey, I don't have any moral objection to it. I guess this comes down to maybe we can revisit this topic later as a full topic. It comes down to what you make out of it. I think that's really what it is. Like, it is supposed to be a hobby. It is supposed to be fun. It's what you make out of it. If you really try to put a bunch of pressure on yourself and you like try to put this compressed try, if you make it a job, well, then I promise, then you're going to burn out. Totally. And I totally understand why you would do it. This is not a job for me. I spend good time on it because I like finding stuff. I like the hunt. I like tracking these things down, but it's not a job. It's not a job. If it was, the pay sucks because I have to pay. Yeah. The pay's terrible for this job. That would be an awful job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I make it sport and I kind of look for it as a challenge to find some of the stuff, then yeah, it can be pretty enjoyable. And we've proven over and over again, it can be whatever you want it to be. It can be structured. It can be random. Like you do whatever you want to do. Whatever makes you happy is fine. And there are some fun things related to it. So I'll show this card here at the end, and this will be kind of the last little pickup. This is the one I came across. So there's another dynasty from the Vladimir Guerrero Juniors. So that's the 2021, and that'll go with the other one.
There's a Victor Robles that I want to get. That's a dynasty, but I'm not paying what the seller's asking for it.
No, it's fair. Some of them do go for quite a bit. So yeah, I like
his stuff is cheap usually. This guy just thinks he's got. Yeah, he's way deeper into it than he should be. You can tell.
Okay, that's fair. I think this one, it wasn't cheap, I'll say, and I could share the price with later on with folks if you really want to know. But and by the way, it's on Fanatics. You can go look it up if you really want to. But anyway, so this was the out of 5. It's the 2021, which I like the design on that. The out of 5s are a little bit more, but the thing that I think hurt it. So you know how on the Dynasty they're inside of these one touches with a sticker on them.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever had it took it out of the one touch, and they submitted it. I think probably through Fanatics. So you know how Mike Baker has the sticker, but Mike Baker also has the authentication you can do for Fanatics, where they put it inside of this.
I don't think they sell anything unless it's authenticated.
Yes, exactly. But the thing is, if it's a Dynasty though, if it's already in the one touch, they'll take it in the one touch and just leave it be. But that means at some point somebody took it out. But what happens is, so as a result, they put it in a Mike Baker semi-rigid. But here's the thing, Brandon. As you know, the Dynasty cards are thicker. So you can't put it in a regular size. The semi-rigid, my silly card of the week could have been the semi-rigid that it was in.
Oh, yeah. It's one of them bigger ones.
It has to be because you need space around it to accommodate the card without squeezing it. So it actually was almost comical the way that it actually looked. Actually, let me see if I can pull up an image for it. I will. I can quickly show you guys here, but you'll get a kick out. The card itself is pretty cool. I zoomed in on the card, obviously, but the actual image on it is actually it's a joke. Let me see if I can show this here like this. And I got to find out who's in charge of this, Eric, because I got questions. But oh yeah, I can only assume Becca was in charge. But look at this.
Oh, good Jesus.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the CGC. So that would be.
Oh, sorry, CGC one. So certified authentic. But in order to accommodate it, look at the size. Look at the size of the semi-rigid.
Yep.
The card itself is a normal size card, but it's obviously a thicker card.
Yeah.
But in order to make the whole thing work, now on the one hand, Eric, I am glad that they put it in a larger holder so it doesn't squeeze the card. So I do appreciate that fact. If you're going to do it in a holder, then I appreciate that you didn't try to squeeze the card. But on the other hand, it's like that's a waste of plastic.
That's just nonsense. That is utter nonsense. And then how are you supposed to store that in your collection?
You cut it out and put it in a one touch, Eric.
Yeah.
You take it out and you put it in one touch.
Yeah, exactly.
Fanatics might need that, but I don't. When I take custody of it, now what's going to be funny is they're going to ship it to me in that thing. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Which it should, by the way. Don't disturb it at this point. Just leave it be.
That's the Rollboys one that I
like that it came with a 150 patch. I like the patch.
Yeah, I actually like the image, but it's the white card isn't showing up well on the camera. But I like the image where it's the batting pose and it has the World Series champion patch on his sleeve. So I liked that aspect of it. So
Sure. I think that's fair. So I think that works. So we got silly card of the weekend. We got some pickups included in there. We got that and then a card there at the end. So I'll share more once I get it in hand and everything. That'll be fine. So any last sage thoughts or comments, guys? Any words of wisdom to leave us on? Because this week upcoming will be all the normal stuff. By the way, I'll leave links in the description. I had a conversation with T-Pott. And I think I made mention of this. My time management thing is I'm glad that I recorded Cardboard Snakes with Dan. So I'll leave a link to that on the description because it was a good episode. People have been checking it out. So thank you for doing that. If you enjoy it, feel free to subscribe and follow along with the different, you can follow up on Dan's channel and mine. It's back and forth. And then also on both channels, there is playlists. So you can get playlists of all the different episodes. My conversation with T-Pott will also be included in the description. You can check that out. He'll give you the update right at the beginning, what happened with the Essential Credentials card after his conversation with PSA and what they did with that. And we had a conversation about that. And we also had a conversation briefly about the NBA stickers and that kind of thing and how that poses some challenges. And then also we had a conversation about the $500 fancy holder that's available there. If you got Eric's $5 cards, you can get yourself a $500 holder.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty fancy. Think about it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So you can check out those links in the description. Otherwise, balls and ball cards. Known associated 540 flips. Eric Sanderson, or you can send all your hate mail there. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate you. Episode 178, BIC podcast. Back with regularly scheduled programs. Friday live stream. Be there. Eric will be there with bells on. By the way, like button tonight, 10x. Like button on Friday, 10x to 10x. Eric's loaded. He's paying for all the X's.
I mean, we didn't get to the topic and it's too late to go into it. But just remember, Eric, GameStop's paying 20% above eBay valuation. Hashtag allegedly.
By Friday, we will follow up on that bombshell. We're going to talk about Eric's attempt, and then Eric is going to try to outbid GameStop with the like button money. That's how much he has.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you to AMG for supporting the podcast and the channel. Have yourselves a good night.